Throughout the year, I've found thousands of Minecraft seeds, and I want to show you 250 of my personal favorites. I've gone ahead and looked at every video I made this year and compiled clips with at least one seed from pretty much every top seeds video. As a reminder, I play on Java Edition. Seeds on Java Edition and Bedrock Edition have the same terrain, but structure generation and locations are different. So just remember that Java Edition is the only version you'll see the structures I show in today's video. Alright, let's get started, and Happy New Year! I've got a Cherry Grove Circle seed here, one of many I've found and shared, just always a popular type of seed for seed finders. But still, it looks awesome to spawn in the Cherry Grove and look over that valley in the middle. And of course, this one has a village, which makes it even better. There's this dripstone cave ravine type thing that generates through it too. As always, walking around and building down in this valley area just looks awesome with the elevated Cherry Grove all around. And yeah, they're found often, but Cherry Grove circles always look great. I found a seed with a chain of 3 mountain circles at spawn. The one directly at spawn is my favorite. The middle valley is mostly comprised of pale garden biome, and there's a village that climbs up the mountainside too. I'd probably show this one alone as it is because it's really cool, but adding in this mountain ring to the south just takes the seed to another level. This one has a meadow in the middle. And then adding another mountain ring to the north just makes the seed absolutely incredible. This one also has a small meadow biome in the valley. A triple mountain ring at spawn is just awesome. There's a village at spawn in this seed, even if you may not be able to spot it right away. We're here in a desert biome with a big cave opening nearby, though there is a chance you spawn down inside the huge cave too. From top to bottom, you'll see it has different layers with a mine shaft hanging down from the top layer, and it generates in the second layer with some lush caves too. And then all the way at the bottom, you'll find a mini desert village. There's no houses in the village or anything, it's just this little bit. Being at the bottom of a cave with no houses, it makes sense why you can hardly see it from the surface. Which, by the way, looking up at the rest of the cave from down here just looks awesome. It's honestly one of the most unique spawn areas I've ever seen. I really like the look of the spawn area in this seed. The mountain ring is split between 2 different types of mountains, with the frozen peaks and the stony peaks. And the middle valley is split too, with the pale garden and the birch forest and forest. Just such a unique looking spawn all around. I found a seed with 2 cliff islands at spawn. We get this first island, it's split between a dark forest and old growth taiga, and it's got some lush caves on the side here. Then we get this second island, it's kinda got 2 sections combined with smaller cliffs, it's got a cave on one side here. Yeah, I just always love the look of cliff islands. This seed has a woodland mansion in the ocean at spawn pretty much by itself. I mean, I've found plenty of mansion islands before, but none quite so alone, especially since changes were made to make spawning on islands way less likely. This just looks so unique. Inside the mansion, I found some alleys on the first floor, a chicken on the second floor, and a hidden room on the top floor with obsidian and a diamond block. So yeah, we've got the mansion out here with just a couple small pieces of dark forest, and it just looks really cool. I found this Minecraft seed with a really unique looking spawn area. It's almost like a Cherry Grove circle, except one side is completely covered in ice spikes instead. It's like this section of terrain just got hit with a sudden severe frost or something. From down in the valley, if you look one way, it just looks like the Cherry Grove circles I often show, but turn around the other way and it's a totally different look. I just thought that contrast looked really cool, and I'm sure someone could come up with an awesome build that takes advantage of it. So villagers decided living up near the sky is the safest place for them. They're all the way up here near Y level 219. Apparently they saw this big mess of terrain and decided that's exactly where they want to live. It does make sense for a few reasons to be all the way up here. It may be a bit safer, but also sometimes I just feel like being alone, So maybe that's just how they feel all the time, and honestly, that's completely fine. This seed has a chain of 3 Cherry Grove circles at spawn. We get this one that we spawn in, and it has a plains biome with a lake in the middle. Then we have this one to the south, which has a little plains biome in the middle. And then we have this third one to the north, which really doesn't complete a full ring, but I'm counting it anyway. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite Cherry Grove seeds I've ever found. This is definitely one of the more interesting jungle island seeds I have ever found. I mean, it's pretty much all just stony shores, like a big boulder in the middle of the ocean, and then just the smallest piece of jungle with the temple here too. And adding to how great all this is, we get a mushroom biome pretty close too. So yeah, not sure I've ever found a seed like this one before, but it definitely looks pretty cool. The spawn of this seed is really cool. It's right on this little island here. The water is actually a really small landlocked ocean. I think this is just a perfect place for like an SMP or Forever World spawn or something. Imagine bridges in each direction going to different little locations like shopping or business districts or whatever. There are truly so many opportunities here. And with that, I'll ask, what would you build in this seed? I know some people who wouldn't be too thrilled about having to live on this island, but if you crashed your ship onto this island, you wouldn't have much of a choice. You get to live out here on a birch island. I know that's just everyone's favorite biome, full of everyone's favorite wood type. But hey, if you're mad about being stuck with birch, at least you'll get to live with some turtles. I don't know, I think the situation could definitely be much worse. I've shown a few Ocean Monument lake seeds before, but I wanted to see what one would look like in a frozen biome. Obviously, it's just a small ocean biome as opposed to an actual lake, but yeah. So here we get that frozen ocean with the icebergs, and it's surrounded by some different cold biomes, like the snowy taiga, snowy plains, and ice spikes. In the middle, you can see the top of the ocean monument, and below water, you can see the icebergs surrounding it. I've always liked how monuments look near icebergs. So yeah, I'd say that answers my question of how a frozen lake monument would look. This seed has a beautiful cherry grove valley right at spawn, and nearly every wood type nearby too, except for mangrove. Of course, we get the cherry grove in the spawn valley, but there's also some oak and birch in a small forest, plus the spruce trees in the grove biome. Then we have the acacia in a nearby savanna, the jungle here for some jungle wood, the pale oak in the pale garden, and the dark oak in the dark forest. And honestly, the mangrove swamp isn't even that far of a travel if you want to go collect that too. So it's just so convenient to have all of those different building blocks near spawn, and you could really create something incredible in the spawn valley with the mountains as a background. This Minecraft seed is really cool. The spawn is in this flower forest, and just west of spawn is this lake with two villages going onto it. This looks pretty sick. The villages look like they could either be enemies, or they're just slowly building up until they meet in the middle of the lake. The first village is the smaller of the two. It's near this weird looking terrain and floating terrain here. And the other village has over double the amount of buildings. This one is near this arch type thing with a water ravine under it. Yeah, this seed looks really cool. I really like finding lake village seeds. This Minecraft seed has infinitely repeating mine shafts, but that's not all. Above ground, we have a spawn close to a village. I mean, I'll never complain about spawning near a village, but knowing that we can go down in this cave and go into a mine shaft that never ends until it hits the world border is just awesome. My favorite part of the repeating mine shafts near spawn is that the spider spawners repeat too, so theoretically you could create the biggest spider farm ever. These glitch seeds are always just really cool to see. When looking for double village seeds, one like this is my favorite type to find. I just love the contrast between the snowy biomes and plains biome, like a true cold versus warm type feel. Always just so cool to see. I think this is a great seed for building. The spawn is down here below the elevated meadow biome. We're actually right next to a big lake too. And there are some tall jagged peaks right behind too for some beautiful scenery. A village actually generates mountainside here. I like how these buildings are up at the top of the mountain. There's another village across the lake too. With all the different biomes and such, I just think this is a really great seed for building. There's so much natural scenery that could be utilized. But if you just prefer building in a flat, boring plains, there's one down there too. Just so much potential with this seed. I was looking for a simple seed with a trial chamber under a village, but I found this in the process. We do get that village at spawn in a nice plains biome. It even has a blacksmith building for some loot. And that trial chamber is right underneath the village too. It just so happens to conflict right with the spider spawner. As if there weren't enough spawners in the trial chamber already, now we get this old style spawner here too. Definitely one of the more unique places I've ever seen one. I found this continent island seed that is pretty much perfect if you're looking for biome diversity. It's got nearly every biome across the island, and it's surrounded by every ocean type, and there's even a small mushroom island nearby. The only two biomes not on the continent are the mangrove swamp and the eroded badlands, and naturally some of the biomes are pretty small, like the jagged peaks, pale garden, savanna plateau, and stony peaks, but hey, you gotta make some sacrifices. If you're wondering about structures, well, we get all of them on the continent too, except for a woodland mansion. So yeah, that's truly one of the best continent island seeds I've ever found. Mountain circle calderas always look pretty cool, especially when they have a village in the middle. This one is made up of some tall jagged peaks for the mountain ring, and we get a plains and meadow in the valley. And of course, the village too, which has some paths going up different parts of the mountains. I mean, I show these quite often, so we're pretty familiar with these, but hey, it still looks awesome. I think this mountain is a perfect background to your next Minecraft build. The world spawn is on the edge of the mountain, and down below you can find the plains with a forest behind it. This is a perfect place to build. This mountain as a background, along with the other mountains, like those frozen peaks, those mountains with a cherry grove, and the other jagged peaks, makes this area just perfect for a build. So with that, I ask, what are you going to build here? This is just a really great looking Minecraft seed. You've got these crescent-shaped frozen peaks with a beautiful lake below and a forest too. The lake would be perfect for building, and the mountains make a great backdrop. Over here in the ocean, you can find a pillager outpost tucked next to some short cliffs. I mean, this just looks pretty cool too. Overall, it's just an awesome looking spawn with tons of potential. I found this seed that is like a half cherry grove circle, and honestly, spawning into the world and seeing this is just incredible. The view is just truly beautiful. We get that lake in the middle that just looks great, and looking over at this side, it looks like a typical cherry grove circle. But looking over at this side, all you can see is forest. I really just can't get over how great of a view that is. Just such a really awesome place to spawn into a new world. This seed has 3 islands that spawn. These are actually in a windswept savanna biome. That's why the terrain all looks a bit odd, but also why, despite looking like one island on the map, we end up with 3 pieces like this. So maybe find a couple friends to play on this one with, or find a way to incorporate all 3 islands into a build. Lots of possibilities here with this one. Alright, this looks pretty sick. You spawn into the seed in this really tall Badlands peak circle, and they actually reach up to the generation height limit of 256. Let me know what type of build you would build here in the middle of this area. You're obviously going to need some building materials, and there's a wooded Badlands biome just outside the circle for you. You'll also find this spot here, and it just adds one more incredible location amongst all of the awesome spawn terrain. Sometimes Minecraft really does just generate some really fantastic looking places. That dripstone opening just looks awesome. Things like this are part of why I really enjoy seed finding. I found this seed that has a big island for a spawn. It has 9 different villages across it, and that includes this taiga village right near spawn. You actually spawn in along this mountain range looking right over it. And the little taiga valley area could be a fantastic place to build a base or something. Along with those spawn biomes, you'll find some plains and meadows, dark forest, snowy taiga, a bit of jungle, and some other biomes too. The island stretches over 3,000 blocks across and is nearly 2,500 blocks wide. So yeah, just a great selection of biomes, space, and structures across a big island for you. This lake village seed looks absolutely incredible. You spawn up on an elevated taiga biome overlooking the whole thing, and it's just such an amazing view. I mean, what's there to even really say? The lake just looks great. I like how the village starts out on land and then just takes a turn right into the middle of the lake. And yeah, man, just one of those seeds that I think looks really cool. Lake villages are always just a favorite of mine. The natural scenery in this seed is just perfect for building. Whether you want to terraform or just build around the terrain as it is, the mountains give you some amazing backdrops right at spawn. You actually get all 3 mountain types around spawn too, with frozen peaks, jagged peaks, and the stony peaks. The frozen peaks are probably my favorite here. They form a full mountain range, and there's this big dripstone cave opening that looks awesome. There are so many good spots to choose from for a build, like maybe in the cherry grove or even in the forest. Personally, I really like this sunflower plains area with some of the mountains peeking through the fog of my shaders. From the sunflower plains, I could then build through the mountain valley and over to the cherry grove. There's just so much potential for an incredible looking spawn build. I found this seed with some floating islands, which generate as a result of this mix of windswept forest and taiga terrain. Mixing in the village to this area is just icing on the cake, and whoever is living in this house is really putting faith in the lack of gravity here. The floating islands start with this spot here, which has a little house, though it's connected to land a little bit, and then we get this small island in the air here, and then the best island is this one highest up. It's got a little dark, shadowy spike thing on the bottom, and there's a bunch of space up here for building or something. This is truly just some incredible Minecraft world generation. This isn't the most ideal island to have to survive on, but some villagers crashed their ship here and have been forced to. With the mangrove being not too great of a place to try to live, they've been forced to build up outside of it. They're doing pretty well for themselves, all things considered, though some of the villagers have split off and built on the other side of the island. Maybe they're a different family or got in a feud with the other guys or something. They tried to leave the island, but clearly didn't get too far. Looks like they're stuck on this island for now. I found this big island seed, which is pretty much all cold biomes. This is actually something I've had quite a few requests to find, so hopefully this one is good enough. I'll keep looking for something that I think is better, but for now, hopefully somebody finds this useful. It's got a plains biome to the north with a village, and a forest and plains to the south with a village, and there's a couple of small patches of taiga. But other than that, it's all just different cold biomes. So yeah, a big, cold, frozen island. I found this cliff island seed here. It just looks really awesome. It's split between wooded badlands, stony peaks, a bit of desert, and bamboo jungle. And it's actually close to the mainland. Those mountains look pretty cool over there. I always like the look of mesa cliffs. I just think the colors on the cliffside look really cool. I think this island adding in the desert and jungle makes this one look awesome too. Pretty cool spot to spawn into a world. This is definitely one of my favorite continent island seeds I've found yet. The biggest reason for that is because you spawn into the world right next to some mountains, which actually form a caldera type area. Half of it is frozen peaks with pale garden and dark forest, and the other side is jungle and forest with stony peaks. Having 2 villages and a jungle temple on the island is great too, and of course there's a nice selection of biomes too. Overall, just such a great place to spawn into a world. The spawn mountain in this seed looks absolutely insane, and it's surrounded by villages in both Java and Bedrock Edition. From this angle, the mountain looks like just a normal pointy mountain, but from this side, you can see it's a bit unusual. The opening goes all the way down to the deep dark, and there's some floating blocks up here. The Java Edition villages are all pretty close to the mountain. Here's the coordinates to all of them. And here are the Bedrock Edition coordinates with the villages being a bit further away. All that combines with some great plains for easy building around spawn. Truly just a fantastic Minecraft seed. This seed is one of my favorites I've found in quite a while. We get a line of 4 cliff islands. I know Hawaii has like 130 islands or something and 8 main islands, but I can't help but think the maps of these look at least somewhat similar. I loaded up Distant Horizons for this one to give a good look at how isolated these islands really are. And I just want to give you a quick look at each island too. So here's a look at the southernmost island, and then this is my favorite island with the lush cave, and now the 3rd island here, and now the 4th northernmost island. You may have also noticed that there's a mushroom island close by too. Just really such an incredible Minecraft seed. I found a seed with a huge mushroom island. Even better, you spawn in an oceanside forest, so it's easy to just get some wood and boat straight to the island if you want to. And even better than that, there's a stronghold underground super close to spawn too. It's one of the biggest strongholds I've ever seen too. I'll give you the coordinates right to the portal room. The mushroom island stretches about 2,500 blocks across and 1,600 blocks wide. Not the biggest mushroom island ever or anything, but it's still really big and just so awesome to have close to spawn. This super tall witch hut looks pretty funny. I mean, the witch here better hope those tall oak pillars are sturdy enough not to collapse. Speaking of her, she's basically stuck up here forever with her cat because they have no safe way of getting down. The top of this witch hut reaches Y level 147 and it starts down at Y level 98, making it 49 blocks tall in total. It's not the tallest I've found, but usually they don't have all 4 pillars being tall like this, and because of that, I just think it looks really cool. I spawned into this world right on the edge of a big lush cave crater. I mean, honestly, what a unique place to spawn into a world at. This just looks really cool. There's actually a mine shaft down in the lush cave too, just makes this spawn even better. Outside of the crater, you can see plenty of other biomes around spawn, but I want to head over to this pale garden. It surrounds a small piece of dark forest and a mansion, kind of a cool place for the mansion to generate. Inside of this mansion, you can find some alleys on the 1st floor, this view of a cave from the 2nd floor, and 6 rooms on the top floor, including this hidden obsidian and diamond block room. So this area looks pretty awesome, as does that lush cave at spawn. Living out on a lake was clearly not the greatest idea for these villagers. I mean, it's clearly been abandoned now. The village does look pretty cool, just a path going into the water with another branching off the main path too. Plus the elevated terrain behind it just looks cool too. So I can only just imagine what went wrong here for them to leave the village abandoned. What do you think happened? This comment wanted me to find multiple village islands so they could build different kingdoms or civilizations. Well, 2 island villages is multiple, so here we are. The villages are about 160 blocks away from each other. We get the first village here. It's on a pretty big plains and beach island. And then we have this second village. It's all across a really tiny plains island. So that's 2 island villages close to each other. Maybe you can go about building a couple of kingdoms with those 2 islands. This seed has every biome within less than 1500 blocks of spawn. You spawn here in a plains biome with a nice view of some mountains, and honestly, this area alone is a great place to build a spawn base, even without knowing that you have all the biomes in a close distance. The only downside to these seeds is some of the biomes end up being pretty small, like the cherry grove. And well, there's a mushroom fields biome here, but clearly it's just the ocean and no blocks from the biome actually generated. But yeah, just knowing that all those different building blocks and materials can be found so close to spawn is just so nice. I found the seed with a village that actually generates under a mine shaft. On the surface, there's a cave opening that leads down to the huge dripstone cave. You'll see some farms up here on the edge of the opening, and there's a floating path mixed with some dripstone here. Then we get the mine shaft hanging down from the top of the cave. And all the way at the bottom, we get that village center area. And that's all that there is to the village. No houses or anything. I mean, yeah, this just looks awesome. This seed has a pretty interesting place for a village. The spawn is in this plains and meadow area. To the north, you can find a village that's on land. And to the east, you can find this village on water. So realistically, this is a lake, but since it opens up here to the ocean, it ends up looking like a cove or bay type area. This sort of resembles Lulworth Cove from southern England, but unlike the real cove, this one has a village on it. We have a blacksmith building here for some loot, and there's plenty of other buildings too. Just a really cool looking area. This is a pretty unique place for a village to generate. You spawn into this world near the sky atop this big mountain range, and the village is right over to the southeast. Not sure why the villagers settle all the way up here, but they're making it work. They've started building a path up towards the mountaintop here, and there's a blacksmith building here. This here also looks pretty cool. The ruined portal just looks like it's the peak of this mountain. Just a couple of really interesting looking structures near spawn in this one. This is the closest I have gotten to finding a small classic survival island since the Minecraft spawn algorithm was changed in 1.21.3. Unfortunately, right behind the island is this scattered beach type area, but that's easily cleaned up by just digging it all up. And you get rewarded with lots of sand, and obviously just get left with this mini island. You can see that there's a mushroom island in the distance, and actually when looking at the map, you can see there's a few different mushroom islands near the spawn island, so this obviously isn't perfect, but it's the best I've found since the changes. If you're wanting a small classic survival island, this is definitely one that you could try out. If you're just looking for a seed to get a happy gas quickly, this one's a really solid option. You spawn in an old growth pine taiga biome, and just to the south is an abandoned taiga village. It looks awesome, the blacksmith has some loot, but that's not really the main reason we're here. We're here to use this ruined portal because the chest has just what we need to get into the nether with obsidian, flint and steel, and gold armor. Now, I wish I could say this fossil right here had a dried ghast in it, but you'll actually need to head a short distance east to find one. There's also another one if you drop down here too. Once you've got it, you can go back through the portal and go through the usual process of hydrating it and turning it into a happy gas. So yeah, hopefully somebody out there finds this seed useful. I find a decent amount of windswept island seeds, and my preference is usually those tall, crazy looking islands. I've shown plenty of those in my previous videos. However, I really like this one too. The terrain isn't sky high or overly crazy, but it looks really cool. It's like a mini version of the type of windswept biomes I usually find. It even still has some floating blocks. Plus, I really like how this one has some forest biome mixed in too. But yeah, I'm sure somebody has some creative ideas for a place like this. If you do, let me know. I show a lot of cherry grove circle seeds, but I think personally, I like something like this more. I mean, just being able to walk right into that little valley is great. You still get that awesome feeling of having the cherry grove elevated around you, and you still get that great plains biome for building, but you can easily just walk into the area, and you can even create a nice grand entrance gate or something here. It's really just so convenient. This Minecraft mountain island seed is really cool. The mountain itself looks amazing, but what makes it even better is that it's hollow, and it has a little lush cave hidden inside. Knowing about that just makes the mountain even more incredible. But that's not all I like about this spawn. Parts of the island have some cliffs, which always adds to the scenery, and there's a ruined portal on the island too. The chest has some solid loot, and you can repurpose or use the portal however you'd like. Oh, and that lush cave in the mountain? It's not the only one. Underground you can find spots like this one. Overall, this is just a really great option for your next Minecraft world. I found this seed that basically is a floating ocean village at spawn. These were pretty popular before Minecraft changed the spawn algorithm to make it more difficult to spawn on one of these. Some of the terrain here keeps it from being completely floating, but it's still pretty close to that classic ocean village look. I mean, isolated floating villages at spawn are fairly rare these days, so let's take what we can get. The blacksmith here is just a nice added plus to this one, and if you're looking for ocean monuments, these three are just a quick boat ride away. It's obviously not the perfect ocean village, but I'm happy to find anything like this, and it's definitely close enough to be a true floating village for me. This is a pretty cool looking place to spawn into a Minecraft world. The windswept biome causes the terrain to look like this, and I really like the bamboo jungle mixed in. I think all of it just combines to form a really cool looking place. There's also another pretty cool looking island nearby too. I'm not creative enough to really come up with something to build here, so let me know what you would build here. This is one of the most unique looking villages I've ever found, with the windswept terrain making an arch like that. I actually spawned into the world right on top of here, and this part is all the way at Y level 195. I think after grabbing some wood from the section below, I'd live up here for a little while. On the eastern side of this whole thing, we get a ruined portal, and the village goes up the side, and then the two houses at the top are the cutoff point of the village. I mean, yeah, that's all. Just such an interesting looking village. The spawn of this seed is really nice, a really great option if you're looking for a cherry grove. We get the Frozen Peaks Mountains behind the cherry grove, which could be a great background to a build, and of course we get all of those pink trees around too. I could see some great things being built here. If you're looking for a Badlands spawn, I think this seed is a decent option. You spawn down here with the mesa elevated around you in a ring. I mean, it just looks really cool, and I think it could be a cool place to build. If you're looking to explore a bit, there's a mine shaft here, so this could be a nice place to start. You can also find a pillager outpost right outside of the spawn ring to the south. And don't worry too much about finding other building blocks, because there's a jungle and forest towards the north, and there's some wooded badlands around the area too. Yeah, nothing too crazy, but I think it's just a really nice place for a badlands spawn build. It's really no surprise at this point that lake villages are one of my favorite types of Minecraft seeds to find. So finding a lake with 2 villages on it was just awesome. The spawn of this seed is over here below a meadow and next to this dripstone area. Just a short travel around the outside of the meadow brings you to the lake. It's actually over 300 blocks across, so it's a pretty big lake. It goes down to -50 also. This village here is pretty big and it connects to the forest. And this village is a bit smaller, and it goes up the side of the meadow. I like how the dripstone is mixed in here. I mean, yeah, this just looks really cool. I'll never get tired of finding lake villages. This snowy taiga island has a pre-built shelter already. There's an igloo on the island, so you get a nice little head start. And yes, there is a basement down below. Living out here could actually be pretty cool, especially if you want like a wintry type playthrough. The frozen ocean all around just looks so cool with the icebergs, and I really like the look of the snowy taiga biome. So yeah, it could be pretty fun playing on this one with a little shelter already there for you. This cherry grove circle seed is just fantastic. I mean, having a cherry grove circle right at spawn is already great, but this one's smaller, which makes it perfect for any render distance. No matter where you look, you're surrounded by cherry trees elevated above, which just looks awesome. Plus there's a village in the middle of this one too, and some of it stretches up to the top of the cherry grove here. Honestly, there's really not much more I could ask for. It's just a great Minecraft seed. This comment said they would like to see some Badlands seeds because they like that biome a lot. I like the biome too, and I do think I should show more Badlands seeds than I do. Personally, I like finding these Badlands mountain type areas. I just think they look great and they provide perfect natural scenery for a build. Like, can you imagine a build down here in this lower flat area? The peaks behind a spawn town or something could look incredible. Thanks for recommending me to find some more Badlands seeds. I'll keep that in mind for future videos too. I've shown plenty of mansion village seeds on my channel, but this one here is a double village. The first village has a blacksmith building, the second village is the bigger of the two with a few more buildings. And check this out, the villages are only 7 blocks apart. I should also mention that there's another village down there too. The spawn village and mansion are separated by this dripstone ravine, and the mansion is a part of a pretty big pale garden biome. If you want structures that spawn, the seed definitely has them. I've seen some comments asking for a village in a pale garden biome, and I think this seed is a pretty good option. Only this little section here with the one house is outside of the pale garden. The rest of the village stretches into the pale garden. We have a blacksmith here and a church here, and the buildings look pretty awesome surrounded by the gray pale oak trees. So I want to ask, what other types of biomes would you like to see a village in? This village island seed just looks awesome. I always like the look of savanna villages on islands. The orange wood just really stands out. And this is pretty random, but I really like the color change of acacia leaves in the stony shores like this. I also really like how the paths stretch out into the ocean on this one. It just look really cool. And well, the whole island looks really cool. All of the illagers have some prime looking real estate here, though I'm not sure they accounted for the fact that it could all burn down. If you do just quickly take care of that lava though, this seed looks absolutely beautiful. The mountain behind the mansion just looks incredible, but there are other beautiful mountains around too. Add in a lake here, an ocean nearby, and all the forest terrain with different biomes, and it's just such a fantastic seed. Maybe the combination of a mansion and outpost isn't the most friendly, but man, does this one just look awesome. You know, I can't really blame the villagers for wanting to live out here. It looks like a fairly peaceful place to live. I mean, they are really isolated out here with the mangroves fully surrounding them. So they don't really have much space for expansion, or they don't really see anything else, which, you know, that may eventually get a bit annoying. One of the villagers even went so far as to just building a house in the mangroves. But by all accounts, they seem to be doing well for themselves out here, and it does seem like a fairly nice place to live. This common asks for a flower forest and a mountain ring, and I have this seed here that I think is pretty cool. We get some tall peaks that form that ring shape. Some of the peaks here are pretty tall too. And of course, as requested in the middle, we have that flower forest biome. Personally, I'd utilize some of the waterfalls into a build and make a little scenic pond area, but I'd love to know, what are you going to build here? I found this seed with a great cherry grove circle at spawn. Usually find these in much larger areas, but this one's smaller and perfectly forms that donut shape. It's great because it really just works at any render distance. Even at just 3 chunks, I'm able to still see parts of the cherry grove. Of course, as usual with these, you can build down here in the flat sunflower plains biome in the middle, while seeing the elevated terrain all around with waterfalls and a lava fall, I guess, too. I mean, yeah, this is just a great place to spawn into a new world. This little meadow circle seed looks pretty interesting. The world spawn is actually right in the middle of it, kind of a great natural spot for a little base area. There are also 3 villages that generate up on top of the meadow too. We get this first one here, as a ruined portal here too. Then we get the second one here. This is the only one with even a little bit going down into the middle plains area. And then we get the third village here. Some of the terrain here looks pretty crazy. So yeah, I think this is a pretty unique place to spawn into a new world. Let me know what you would build here at spawn. I don't know why the villagers would decide this was a great place for their home, but nevertheless, here we are. The ocean monument being right next to the village, I guess could be considered both a blessing and a curse though. You can avoid it early game, but then use it to your advantage later on with like a farm or something. Also, it's kind of funny how if it was just over a few blocks, this path would be like an arrow pointing right to it. Yeah, so I don't know man, maybe inconvenient, but you don't see a monument under a village every day, so it's pretty interesting. Since the changes to the Minecraft spawn algorithm, I haven't had much luck in finding what I consider an ocean village, but I've finally found one with this seed here. A truly isolated Minecraft island in the middle of the ocean. While I'm pretty excited to have found a spawn ocean village, my favorite part of the seed may actually be these mangrove trees being a part of the island. I also like how there's a mushroom island in the distance too. All around, it all combines to be incredible, and I'm excited I finally found a new ocean village spawn seed. Looks like a witch decided to build a hut right on top of a woodland mansion. Not sure why they picked that spot, but it actually looks pretty cool. They're just hanging out up on top of the roof now. The mansion generated in this really small dark forest biome, and there's a really big swamp all around. I found an arena room on the top floor of the mansion, which has some loot on the top loft, and you can also break into this hidden room, which has 2 chests of loot in the ceiling. I'd say this is a pretty cool looking seed here for sure. This might just be one of my favorite mountain seeds in Minecraft. The mountain makes for a nearly perfect backdrop for a build. You spawn right on the mountainside and there's a village nearby to the southwest. This is where I think is the best place for utilizing the mountain in the background. The village already gives you a feel for how a build might look there. You could even do a reconstruction project or something. On the other side of the mountain, there's another village sitting right next to a massive dripstone crater. I really like how the mountainside blacksmith looks. Definitely a really great looking Minecraft seed with lots of potential. Okay, this is just a really crazy looking Minecraft seed. We've got a little piece of windswept savanna here at spawn, next to a jungle, a swamp, a dark forest, and some other biomes. Initially, it's really not a seed you'll look at and think you want to build at, but there's certainly potential when thinking about the cleared out biomes and seeing some plains and forests nearby too. The windswept savanna causes this mansion to be a bit tall, and the swamp generates this witch hut right up against the mansion, and this is obviously a bit taller than your typical witch hut. The backside of the hut can be seen on the second floor of the mansion here, and actually the witch gets stuck inside of here, so it's just going to be up here forever. The mansion entrance is lodged in this area here where a small section of root forest meets the windswept savanna and jungle. I found this winding stairway room on the bottom floor with loot at the end. Up on the top floor I counted 9 rooms. The view from this top floor window with the shattered savanna outside and the hut below is pretty cool. And the last thing I want to mention is this piece of terrain on the mansion roof with the fallen tree. I just think it looks kinda cool. But yeah, you can usually find a way to make any piece of Minecraft terrain work by building and terraforming, but you don't always find a seed with structures that look this cool, so I like this a lot. This is one of my favorite cherry grove island seeds I've ever found. I really like how small the cherry grove is. It makes it sitting up on that hill even better. I don't know, something about it is just really cool. Plus, I also like this little lake thing on the island here. And the mushroom island nearby in the frozen ocean looks awesome too. Definitely a really cool place to spawn into a new world. I found this really cool looking mountain island seed. Of course, the mountains are these jagged peaks. I think here in the dark forest, and especially here in the birch forest, could be great places to build. Here on the other side of the island, the dark forest is pretty steep going up to the mountains. The look of some of the cliffs around the island are pretty cool too, like these tall ones and these ones with caves. It's just such a great looking island. Could be a great place for a unique build. If you like this seed, stay tuned because I have another mountain island seed later in this video that is one of my favorites I've ever found. I don't do a lot of seed searches for jungle seeds, but I have to say, there is some genuinely stunning jungle terrain in Minecraft. This one has these stony peaks overlooking a lake here with the jungle temple lakeside. There's some cliff type areas around the lake, and really this whole area just looks incredible. The jungle borders a forest biome with some stony peaks nearby and one tall mountain in the fog. This could just be a great spawn area for some building, and the 2 chests in the temple even give you a bit of loot to start off. Let me know what types of jungle seeds I should look for in the future. I've always liked to find seeds with structures in places that they don't belong. That often includes jungle villages, but in this case we also get the mangrove swamp here too. And the sheer size of this mangrove swamp gives some great opportunity to find the new firefly bush. The biomes all connecting in this area create some pretty crazy looking terrain, and we even get a jungle temple here. It's just always awesome to find a jungle village like this. The spawn area of this seed looks pretty cool. As long as you don't get stuck in the powdered snow, you'll see a pillager outpost all the way up on top of a mountain with 3 peaks. I mean, this is a pretty discreet location for them to set up their tower for their next pillage, but it definitely makes the mountain look unique in terms of world generation. So yeah, pretty cool seed here. There's something in this Minecraft seed that's pretty hidden. I mean, it's just an island seed that's split between a beach and forest. But there's also this cave entrance here. And down in this cave, there's this shipwreck. I mean, when looking for a shipwreck island, I wasn't expecting to find one in a cave like this. And really, when looking around this seed, this ocean ruin may have caught my eye first, but that underground shipwreck is really what stands out about this one. Okay, so this just looks really awesome. The spawn of this seed is right next to these jagged peaks mountains, which actually cause this really incredible mountain ring. There are actually 3 different structures here. We get a ruined portal, a village, and a woodland mansion. And actually underground you can find an ancient city too. My favorite part of this seed is the row of village buildings along the side of the mansion. That even includes this blacksmith building here. It's pretty cool seeing the buildings inside of the mansion too. But yeah, a really cool looking Minecraft seed, definitely one I was happy to find. This comment said they'd love to see a seed with different village types in close proximity. This seed has a spawn in a plains village that's right next to a savanna village. You can see just how close the villages are here, pretty much connected. Here's a look at the plains village, it has a blacksmith building. And here's a look at the savanna village, a path leads into this big cave with an amethyst geode. There's another savanna village towards the northwest and a pillager outpost to the southwest. So yeah, there's a double village with 2 different variants. This is one of my favorite mountain circle seeds. The mountains themselves aren't all that exciting, they could be a bit taller, but they're good enough. The middle valley area though is just great. We have 3 different biomes with the forest, cherry grove, and the plains. And there's a village here too. I mean, I always like the look of cherry grove villages, so having this one in the middle of a mountain circle like this is just awesome. Everything combined here just looks fantastic. I found this skeleton spawner connected to a stronghold. You spawn into the seed right in a village, just a nice little oceanside village. Underneath the nearby forest biome, you'll be able to find a trial chamber. Always a nice place to progress towards exploring. And right next to that, you can find the stronghold. As always, I'll give you the coordinates to the portal room, but the spawner opening right up to the library is my favorite thing about this one. This was just such a cool thing to find when exploring. This is easily one of the coolest crater village seeds I've ever seen. It's in this desert and mesa area, and the crater is all lush cave. We get the village down here, and it just looks awesome. It even continues down below here. Only this part in the mesa is what's not in the lush cave. There's also a mine shaft down here, which is pretty awesome too. Just such a cool place to spawn into a new world. I found a village that could only have been built by, well, a nitwit. And for some reason, this guy put all his trust into that nitwit. They decided to build all the way on top of that windswept terrain, and once they got all the way up here at Y level 218, well, they've only built a well and an animal pen. They've got nothing else accomplished, and I'm not sure they're even capable if this guy's leading the way. If they're gonna have any chance at thriving here, they'll probably need your help. A witch apparently decided to take up residence on top of a woodland mansion. Not quite sure why they would pick this spot specifically when they could have just rented a room or something, but this works, I guess. And it definitely looks really unique. They've got their own little penthouse up here now. Around spawn, you can see some spots of windswept terrain, including some floating islands, which is pretty cool. And inside the mansion, I found this room on the first floor with loot at the end, and this obsidian and diamond block room on the top floor. But yeah, that witch hut on top of the mansion is pretty interesting looking. Well, this one looks pretty wild. That massive spike of windswept terrain is just insane, and having a witch hut built into the side of it with those tall pillars makes it even cooler. The village here takes it up another level with the paths that climb all the way up to the top of the terrain. It's got a library, an armorer's house, a mason's house, and a blacksmith. Altogether, it just looks incredible. I'm always on the lookout for one-path village seeds, and this is one of my favorites I've found. That's because it goes up a hillside and right into a cherry grove biome. So it basically just adds 2 of my favorite types of villages together. A single straight line path just looks so clean too, especially in comparison to this nearby hillside village. I mean, it's nothing too crazy, but it's still a pretty unique little spawn village. I think spawning on an island completely surrounded by a river is one of the most underrated places to start a new Minecraft world. It kind of makes it feel like a natural moat or something to protect the island, and it just ends up as a perfect little spawn area for a base, or even the perfect place for an SMP hub area. Think of how cool it would look to see like bridges built off in each direction or something. I mean, it's pretty simple, but it looks awesome, and yeah, that's why I think these are pretty underrated. The spawn mountain in this seed is just perfect. From down here in the plains biome, it makes such an amazing backdrop for a build. Those tall pointy peaks just look awesome. Having the frozen peaks over there is great too. Really all around just a great place for a build. You actually spawn into the world on the mountain itself, and you can see there's this crater-like area in the middle with dripstone that looks really cool. So yeah, overall, just a great mountain seed for a new world. This mountain circle seed is pretty cool. We get the jagged peaks forming the circle area, and some of them go up pretty high. The middle valley area is pretty awesome too. It's got 3 different biomes with the meadow, pale garden, and birch forest. Of course, the village here is great too. Has a couple churches, and the buildings in the pale garden look pretty awesome. Just a really cool spawn area here. All of the mountainous terrain around spawn in this seed looks absolutely incredible, but especially the mountain valley that you spawn into the world in. It leads all the way to an ocean where you can find some short cliffs, and just outside of the area, you'll see we get every mountain type around spawn too, with even more incredible valleys and beautiful terrain. The spawn valley itself provides lots of different wood types with dark oak, birch, and pale oak, but you'll easily be able to find jungle, cherry, and acacia nearby too, so all you have to go searching for is a mangrove swamp. I mean, it's really just a fantastic seed for so many reasons. Here's another mountain seed that I think is worth checking out. The whole vibe of this being a jungle and stony peaks just looks awesome. There's just endless possibilities for a place like this, and I think like a little pirate cove type build will look awesome here. There's a couple spots that I really like about this seed that I want to point out too. First is this jungle temple. And second is this shipwreck. Third is at the top of the mountain, there's a lush cave inside. And then my favorite location is this huge lush cave here. This just looks incredible. One of my favorite lush caves I've ever found. Everything in this seed really combines to create a really unique spawn area for a new world. This Minecraft seed looks pretty cool. You spawn on a forest and taiga hillside. And just nearby, there's this crater-like area with aquifers, a village building, and a partially exposed ruined portal. There's also an opening that leads out to the ocean, and the cliffside here looks amazing. We get the village buildings in the water, and there's a floating shipwreck just hovering above. It's not the first time I've shown a seed like this, but I still search for these kind of things every so often. I just really like how they look. There are a couple of pretty cool lakes around the spawn of this seed. One is this split lake that's half frozen. It looks pretty cool. But this double village lake here looks even better in my opinion. Definitely one of my favorite lake villages I've found so far. This village has 10 buildings, including this blacksmith building, and the other village also has 10 buildings, but this one has 2 blacksmiths. There's also a pillager outpost fairly close by too. Yeah man, I just think this looks really cool. I may even like how the taiga villages look on top of the water more than the other village variants as well. This Minecraft seed has a fully working 12-eye end portal, and it may not even be my favorite thing about it. That's because you spawn into the world right near a mesa village. Well, obviously just a desert village really, but it stretches into the mesa, and the wooded badlands behind it looks awesome. It's right next to this big cove area, and there's a desert temple across the water. If you travel out to this jungle and go underground, you'll find that end portal. It's just perfectly ready for you to go into the end. It's always awesome finding these fully working portal seeds. The mountains that spawn in this seed just look really unique. The badlands and jungle biomes create a clear split between them all the way up to the top of the mountains. And I mean, they just look really cool. We get patches of lush cave in various sections in both the badlands and the stony peaks. This tree is up over the generation height limit, and this jungle temple here just adds to how cool of a spawn area this is. Yeah man, just thought this looked pretty interesting. This lush cave island looks incredible. It's actually kind of hollow with the cave opening up on both sides. The island itself is made up of dark forest and jagged peaks biomes, plus that lush cave running through it obviously. These kinds of islands are always such a fun find. I'm not really sure what you'd build here or if you'd want to even play survival on it, but it looks amazing, so that's why I like finding them. If you do have any ideas for builds or projects here, definitely let me know. I can't even say that you crashed into this island here because it looks like the ship was like backed into the island somewhat carefully. I mean, yeah, it's sunk now, but that could happen over time or something. But regardless, you're out on this island now, so it's up for you to survive here. You've got a dark forest, a beach, and a mini jungle. It's up for you to go ahead and figure out what to do now. I found this really nice Cherry Grove Island seed. I mean, it's not too different than any other Cherry Grove Island seed I've ever found, but still, they all look great. Of course, we get the Cherry Grove up on a hill in the middle. It's surrounded by plains and sunflower plains, and there's also this mini little flower forest nearby too. Plus, out in the ocean, you can see that shipwreck sticking out, and maybe that's how you ended up here. If that is the reason, well, I could think of many worse places to be than out here on a Cherry Grove Island. The spawn area of this Minecraft seed just looks picture perfect. We spawn right in the village, it's right on the ocean side, and the crescent-shaped mountains in the background just look awesome. I think having the forest fill out the area really helps the look too. It's just always awesome to find Minecraft terrain that just looks perfect to build at, just such a great place to spawn into a world. This seed looks absolutely wild. I've always loved the look of tall woodland mansions, so finding one like this was awesome. There's this Batcave style opening built right into the mansion's foundation that looks incredible, and the roof of this one is up at Y level 211, with the terrain and trees above it reaching up to level 240. So it's not the tallest mansion I've ever found, but it's still enormous. What really makes this seed special to me though is everything around the mansion. You've got a shipwreck nearby where you can see the towering mansion in the background, and it even mixes in some different wood types, which is pretty cool. Plus, that nearby village is just fantastic too. I've always loved villages floating on water, and having this huge mansion standing behind it just makes it look even more incredible. There really is so much to like about this seed. We have an archipelago seed to check out here. An archipelago is just a large group of islands. Some example of real-life archipelagos are Japan, Hawaii, and the Malay archipelago. In this one, we get the spawn island with a village on it, this second island here, this little island here, a big birch island, one more birch island, and this little taiga and forest island. Plus, we get these little ocean islands all around too. So yeah, I'd say this counts as being an archipelago, and I really like the idea on playing on a seed like this. I really think you could come up with some interesting build ideas for this seed. The spawn valley in this seed could be a perfect place to build. It sits between some stony and jagged peaks with a mix of biomes like the meadow, the forest, and even a mini pale garden. I can picture some amazing builds stretching all the way through this area, with the mountains adding some great scenery, maybe even connecting to the village at the end of the valley. There are just so many possibilities here. I found some villages surrounded by rivers before, and this is the first time I found a frozen one. I mean, the frozen water doesn't work very well as a moat or protection, but it can be used as a place to race boats or something. Just fix up a couple spots and have a race around the village with some friends. I don't know, that's my idea. Do you have any other ideas on how the river could be utilized? This huge island is just full of hot and warm type biomes. So we have biomes like the desert, badlands, savanna, and mangrove swamp. The only real neutral biomes would be the small section of forest and birch forest. Even the jungle is one of the warm biomes. The island stretches over 3,000 blocks across from east to west and around 2,000 blocks from north to south. You'll get all the different structures across the island that you'd expect to find, with my favorite being the village on a little river island. And underneath the island, you can find a stronghold. I'll give you the coordinates to the portal room. I mean, this is just so useful to have close to spawn. So yeah, that's a pretty cool island seed there. You spawn into this one right near this really unique looking mountain. I mean, just having this huge cave opening on the side of it looks really interesting. I think the water in the front of it adds to that look too. I know somebody out there has some sort of idea for a place like this. The mountain at spawn in this seed looks pretty cool. It's got some really pointy peaks, and below them is this little area that could be used to build a secret base or something. Alternatively, you could use the mountain just as a nice backdrop for a build. This plains area here is a great spot to build, especially with the river nearby, or you could clear out some of the forest on the other side and build here too. Sometimes the natural Minecraft terrain just sets you up perfectly for a build. I got a comment recently from someone who said they don't really get what they describe as the overdo it seeds, and that some should just be basic. The thing is, finding seeds isn't easy, it takes a lot of time, so I like to share the coolest ones I come across each week. But with that said, the comment does remind me to add in a few nice basic survival seeds into my videos more often, so here's one that I think is a cozy seed for a survival playthrough. All that's really here is a ruined portal and some interesting terrain here, and then we just have a nice plains biome for a spawn base, and it's bordered by an ocean over here, and a forest all around the rest of it. Just a nice little simple place to start your world. This seed has two abandoned villages that basically merge into one big abandoned village. You've got this village here, and then this one over here, and the paths almost connect here. If you really want to, you could connect them yourself. But yeah, I find a lot of double village seeds, but usually they aren't two abandoned villages, so I gotta wonder what happened here. Clearly something went wrong for this place to end up abandoned like this. What do you think happened? I don't usually search for jungle seeds, but finding one like this might change that for me. This place looks awesome. The small cliffs covered in bamboo look amazing, and those stony peaks make for such a cool backdrop. It may take a while to clear out, or you could just build around some of it, but this spot could be a really cool place for a build. You could even incorporate the temple into your build. There's some serious potential here. This island spawn really is just a big boulder in the middle of the ocean. All the way around the island is just those big stone cliffs. Of course, that also includes the dirt, exposed ores, and water and lava falls. Up on top of the rock, you've got a grove biome, so you get those spruce trees, but you will have to deal with the powdered snow. So if you want to live on a rock, check out this seed. I think this village looks really cool. It's really no surprise that I like floating villages like this though. You spawn here between a forest and beach, and the village is just offshore in the ocean. Like I said, I've always liked the look of these. While it's near impossible to spawn in the middle of the ocean on a floating village these days, I've started looking for seeds like this as a sort of middle ground. Not quite the same, but they still do look really great. I guess I'm just hoping the spawn algorithm eventually changes back someday so we can get those classic ocean village spawns again. But seeds like island villages and this one are close enough for now. Can you spot the woodland mansion while I scan around this Minecraft seed? Well, it's hidden right over there. It's pretty funny seeing a little bit of the mansion just poking through a hillside like this. Definitely a unique way to see a woodland mansion. You can see even more of the roof up here, and over on the other side of the hill, well, it looks really awesome over here. When seeing the mansion poking through a hillside like that, I didn't really predict a cliffside mansion like this on the other side. The caves around here just make this area even more interesting. Even on the inside of the mansion, we get some bits of lush cave throughout it. Underneath the mansion is an ancient city, so another place to check out in this seed. And there's even some lush cave down here too. So definitely a really cool seed, all starting off with finding a hidden woodland mansion. So that looks like a pretty interesting place for a village. I spawned in this forest, and directly west past the hill, there's this lake with a savanna village on it. I don't think I really need to explain how much I like the look of lake villages in general, but I think this may be the first time I've shown a savanna lake village. I think it looks pretty interesting. The orange really stands out against the water. This village both connects over here to the savanna and over here to the forest. This acacia tree has some really dark leaves because it's in the forest. The elevated terrain behind the lake looks pretty awesome too. All around, just a really cool area. If you go north from the lake, there's another village. It's a pretty big village, and I just wanted to let you know it's here. But yeah, definitely a really cool lake village seed here. This Minecraft seed looks absolutely insane. I mean, I actually spawned into this world way up at Y level 271, which is well above the normal generation height limit of 256. Add in this natural bat cave type thing here, and this mansion just looks incredible. Personally, I really like that there's a village nearby too. It's really cool seeing just how tall the mansion is in comparison to the small houses of the village. Plus, I mean, having another structure around spawn is just great in itself too. So yeah, just a crazy looking place to spawn into a new world. I found a mountain circle seed that I think looks pretty interesting. The valley in the middle is almost perfectly divided between two biomes. We get about half dark forest over here and half pale garden over here. All this is surrounded by some frozen peaks, which look great. This part here flattens out a bit, but the tall sections really make up for it. While exploring, I kept thinking about how before 1.21.4, this entire area would have just been dark forest biome. Honestly, I think this version looks way cooler. This Taiga Village island seed looks pretty cool. The island is pretty flat across, has a pretty big beach, the taiga biome of course, and there's a tiny forest here too. It's also cool seeing the village stretch into the water, and I think the taiga wood paths look pretty cool. I mean, really, I'm just a big fan of how taiga villages look all around. I mean, yeah, these isolated island villages always just look really cool. These mountain ring caldera seeds are always just some of my personal favorites to find. I think they just look so cool. Some of the jagged peaks in this one reach up really high, and the middle area is made up of meadow and pale garden. Of course, you can see the village and woodland mansion in there too. The village generates going up the mountainside, and some of the paths lead up towards the top of the mountains. They lead down towards the mansion too, where inside on the first floor I found some alleys, and this hidden loot room on the top floor. The separation of the village and mansion makes it feel like maybe the villagers are stuck working here for the rich guys in the mansion or something. Honestly, kinda depressing, but hey, the seed generation looks cool. I found this big island seed that's got quite a few different biomes, but mostly warm or hot biomes. You spawn into the world in a Badlands biome, and there's a desert village right nearby. I like how it stretches into the Badlands, and it's pretty cool seeing the eroded Badlands behind it. You can also find a desert temple close by too, so you get that easy chance at some loot with the 4 chests there. You'll also be able to find a couple of other villages and different structures across the island, which stretches about 2,000 blocks from north to south and 2,700 blocks from east to west, so definitely lots for you to explore across this seed. This Minecraft seed has the closest working end portal I've ever personally found. You start out in a coastal dark forest biome, and after traveling just a little over 500 blocks through sections of dark forest and birch forest, you'll end up right above the stronghold. Underground, beneath some layers of lush cave, you'll be able to find the portal room. According to a few different calculators, the distance is about 530 blocks if you count the Y levels, or around 513 if you don't. What's interesting here, obviously, is that only 2 of the portal frames are active, likely because of a mix between a 12-eye portal generation and overlapping chunks creating the other sections of the portal. But either way, it's still a working end portal that you can use to get to the end, and it's the closest working one I've ever found near spawn. Mesa biomes have been around for about 12 years now in Minecraft, first added all the way back in version 1.7.2, but even after all these years, I still love finding seeds with the modern day Badlands at spawn. This one blends together with some stony peaks to create an amazing mountain landscape. That section of Badlands between the stony peaks looks absolutely incredible, and all the different biomes in this area combine to create an awesome spot. Plus, adding the hillside village over here really caps off how great this whole spawn area looks. Just an incredible place to spawn into a new world. Let's just call this Pillager Lake. I spawned into this world up on this elevated forest here, and just a short walk away you can look right over the lake. You can see that the lake is part of the savanna biome with the grass color of the outpost, and there's quite a few cages as a part of it, including a couple of allies. Yeah, these just always look really cool. This seed features a circular oasis right in the middle of a desert. You get a plains, forest, savanna, and a jungle, all packed together and surrounded by the desert. I mean, it's already cool to see that mix of biomes inside a desert, but having it in that circular shape just makes it even better. It just looks really cool. Personally, I like the idea of building a base in a place like this, so I've got to ask, what would you build here? It seems like some sort of disaster struck this village. Some meteor or something hit this area and left a huge crater. Not sure how the houses stayed intact, but they're clearly abandoned now. And even the other villagers outside of the crater have abandoned the village. It's overrun by zombies now. I will say there's lots of really cool things here though. Obviously the dripstone throughout the crater is awesome, but I also really like how we get some floating islands here too. My favorite part is this building though. Part of it generates out in the crater, and then the rest is underwater in the aquifer. So maybe you can take it upon yourself and fix up this village and get it thriving again despite the huge crater. Generally, when I look for mountain seeds, it's really just for some natural atmosphere for building. Just having the natural scenery all around is so useful. In this one, we get some frozen peaks over there, some jagged peaks over there, and other spots of tiny mountains around. Of course, the spawn plains is the most logical place for a build here. Just so much potential with a spawn area like this. I'd say this seed is a winter wonderland. The spawn is on some frozen peaks, and looking around, we can see cold and frozen biomes. I think over here near the snowy taiga could be a great place for a build. The mountains as a background would look awesome. If you're looking for a snowy seed, maybe give this one a chance. Since the Pale Garden at this time is the newest big feature added to Minecraft, I've been looking for big Pale Garden biomes. I have one of those here, and there's a few things I like about it. The little sections of dark forest mixed in are pretty cool. I like that little pond down there, and I also like this lake over here, especially with that one tree in the middle. Just a cool looking area, I think. If you're looking for a Pale Garden seed, this is a decent option. This has to be one of my favorite seeds with a village in the valley of a mountain circle. It's only got 2 houses and a couple of farms, so I'm not sure how well this farm is doing since it's frozen. I mean, at least this one is just half frozen. I just like how it feels like a couple of villagers decided they were done with everything and chose to live up here in the mountains. And honestly, that doesn't sound like such a bad idea to me. This little mountain circle flower forest seed is pretty nice. I've always been a pretty big fan of the flower forest biome, and I think this one looks pretty great with the jagged peaks surrounding it. The middle forest isn't very spacious, but I do think it could be a great place for a little starter base. What type of build do you think would look nice here? This seed has 2 mountain circles at spawn. They both look really awesome, but this one directly at spawn is the one I like less. It's got stony peaks forming the circle and then a deep valley in the middle made up of forest biome. I'm just not a huge fan of Stony Peaks mountains. I much prefer this one over to the east. It's made up of tall, jagged peaks, and it has a nice meadow in the middle for building. I just think jagged peaks look way better, but regardless of preference, it's pretty awesome having 2 mountain circles at spawn. In this seed, we get 3 mountain circles right at spawn. You start just outside the first one, which has some towering stony peaks that reach close to the generation height limit, and there's a forest right in the middle valley. There's also this dripstone cave here too. Then we've got this one to the south. It's got some interesting looking stony peaks and a forest in the middle too. And then we have my favorite one to the north. Again, some cool looking tall stony peaks, but this one has a savanna in the valley. Altogether, they combine to just make an incredible looking spawn area. Double villages are always great. This one's in a big plains biome, and the 2 villages meet up here with the paths connecting. We get this eastern village and this western village, and together they just make one big village. This seed is absolutely stunning. You spawn right in a cherry grove biome, and there's even a village here too. You know, I've always loved the look of cherry grove villages, so that alone makes it worth checking out, but everything else here just takes it to another level. The mountain background behind the cherry grove looks incredible, and the valley leading to a nearby ocean is just fantastic. The natural scenery here makes the build possibilities pretty much endless, so I've got to ask, what would you build in a spot like this? I found this seed that has 2 very different islands right at spawn. The first island has been settled on. It's a plains island with a village that has some buildings built out on the water. It's also got this house down here right next to a zombie spawner. The second island doesn't even have a real biome. It's just an ocean biome here. It has nothing on it except for some trees and grass. So yeah, two very different islands right at spawn, and I think I'll expand the village onto the second island. What would your plan be for this? This seed is a spawn on an island with a woodland mansion, so you may want to be a bit careful early on because we have this lava pool that could easily cause some damage. But yeah, we get the dark forest and the stony shores and then the mansion. Inside I found some allies and a couple of rooms with loot on the bottom floor. And on the top floor I found an arena room with some loot on the top loft. So yeah, there's a pretty cool woodland mansion island. I found this island with mostly warm or hot biomes around it, like the desert, mesa, and savanna, though we do get some plains, forest, and jungle too. Personally, I just like exploring across Minecraft worlds, and my favorite thing I found in this one is this desert temple village. And on this one, I think it'd be pretty cool to build a desert themed build across the island or something. What ideas do you have for some builds on this island? If you're looking for a small classic like survival island seed for newer versions of Minecraft, I found this one here. Since the spawn algorithm changed, I've gotten a lot of requests to find seeds like this, and whenever I find one, I make sure to go share it. It just looks like a classic survival island, and it manages to have two different tree types in such a small area. If you're looking for an ocean monument, this is the closest one to the island, and for some exploring, you can go underneath the island and check out this mine shaft. So if you're looking for a small, isolated, classic-looking survival island, maybe give this one a try. Alright, so this seed is pretty interesting. It's obviously a snowy, icy, cold-looking seed, well, except for that little patch of windswept gravelly hills there. The ice spikes all around are pretty cool. We've got some fairly tall ones, some looking like they're holding up terrain, and that one isn't necessarily tall, but it's high up towards the sky. I guess if you're looking for a snowy village, I'd recommend checking out this one. As I've mentioned before, when it comes to finding desert temples now, I almost always look for a temple to be next to it. So with that, I thought, what about two temples? And that's what I managed to find. It happens to be two different types of temples. Honestly, I just think that's really cool. Down underneath this area, there's a trial chamber, and it's even connecting with a lush cave. If you want structures, check out this seed. Or maybe you want some terrain like that over there. Either way, check out this seed. If the odds of a 12-eye end portal are 1 in a trillion, I want to know what the odds of a portal like this is. You spawn into the world here in a sunflower plains biome, and honestly it's a pretty nice place for a spawn base. You could include the little ocean nearby into a build. Traveling across the ocean and continuing southeast about 1,500 blocks will bring you to a meadow with a dripstone cave on the side. Underneath that dripstone cave, you'll be able to find the stronghold. While I show a decent amount of 12-eye portals or glitch portals, it's the first time I've seen one with a full-looking portal but 3 eyes missing. I'd love to know if there's some way somebody could find the true odds of this happening. Definitely a really unique looking portal. The spot of this Minecraft seed drops you right into a frozen ocean with an archipelago type area. It's all these really cool looking snowy taiga islands, and they even have a pre-built place to live here already. The igloo looks really cool with the stone bricks sticking out of the ocean like that, and of course that also means we get that basement down underground. The whole area has a cool winter atmosphere, making it a really unique and refreshing place to start a new world. Definitely a great opportunity for a different kind of playthrough. If you're looking for a new Minecraft survival seed, how about one with every biome within 3,000 blocks of spawn? That makes it so no biome is too far to travel to. You do have to sacrifice with some of the biome sizes though, like this cherry grove or the mushroom island, and it doesn't include every ocean biome too, of course, but hey, all of those biomes near spawn is incredibly convenient. I found this taiga island village seed here. Just an island isolated in the middle of the ocean with a village on it. You guys know I love finding these types of seeds. This one has 2 blacksmith buildings, which gives you a chance at having some decent starting loot. I gotta say, I do like finding these island villages that aren't always just plains islands. This is probably the first time I'm sharing a seed like this. And I say this is a first because usually I don't show an outpost converging with a mansion. But I think I may start looking for more of these because this just looks really awesome. I think there's potential for some really interesting looking things to happen with the two next to each other or converging. Like if this was a few blocks over, the tower being right on the corner of the mansion would look really cool. Of course, the inside of the mansion looks pretty cool with the tower clipping into here, but still actually pretty easy to move around here with breaking a couple of blocks, and it looks like it's floating down here. I will say that this nice meadow spawn isn't as nice when you realize you have to deal with these guys. And the mansion being on the hillside looks really cool too. I'd be happy to find a mansion that just looks like this. But let's be honest, that pillager outpost really puts this one over the top. I found this seed with a glitched end portal. Not really sure why this happens, but it looks really cool. You spawn right on the edge of a Badlands biome, and just nearby there's a desert village. And it has a blacksmith, which is always a nice find. Personally though, I really like this village over here. Even without the glitched portal, I may have just shared this seed because I always like the look of mesa villages. If you travel through the desert and into a savanna, that's where you'll be able to find the stronghold underground. Of course, that's where you'll find this end portal, which you can go ahead and use without even collecting any eyes. This really does just look awesome. Happy to find it. This seed has a quadruple village at spawn. I found this with the help of Doogie. Go ahead and check out his YouTube channel when you get the chance. So yeah, the spawn is in this village, which has a blacksmith. And right across from that, there's this village, which stretches into the water here. And that nearly connects to this other village, which also goes into the water. And then across from that is the fourth village, which also has a blacksmith and goes into the water a bit. If you just want villages, well, this one has 4 of them for you right at spawn. They may not be the greatest for survival mode or anything, but I love finding tall woodland mansion seeds. They always just look really cool. This one reaches up to Y level 250, and there's some little cave type things generating around. Inside of the mansion, among tons of rooms to explore, I found this maze room with loot at the end. So yeah, there's a pretty awesome tall woodland mansion. This one has 3 biomes in such a small area. We get the birch forest, the jungle, and there's a little dark forest too. Plus there's a mushroom island in the distance, which could be useful. Having all the trees on the island is pretty great. I mean, it gives you a few different building blocks with just the wood alone, so you can create some different builds. Just thought it was pretty cool having a few different biomes in such a small area. This one just looks fantastic. The spawn of this seed is right next to these mountains that form a crescent-like shape. And underneath the mountains is a flat meadow area. I actually really like meadows as a building location. There are 2 villages there too. One is this mountainside village, and the other is this one here, near some of these small dripstone craters. Yeah, just a great looking area. A perfect place for your first build in this world. This Minecraft seed just looks really cool. The spawn is right next to the lake, and you can see tons of different biomes around too. So with that, you should have pretty easy access to different materials all around. The lake here just looks incredible. Of course, it looks like one village just stretching across the lake, but it's actually 2 villages. You can see that on the map here. They connect somewhere near the blacksmith building. Just a great looking spawn area, and just a great place to start off with a new world. Well, this is just an incredible looking Minecraft seed. I spawned into this little plains valley, and the first thing I saw was a ruined portal. Not only is that great for some quick loot, but you can eventually fix it up and head into the nether to find yourself a dried ghast. What I really like about this spawn is how close you are to both an elevated cherry grove and a raised meadow. I had an idea here where you could build a bridge between the 2 of them over the river, and then you could build something on the meadow hill like a little temple, tower, or statue. You could continue this by building a path along the cherry grove and then down to the village here. Then you could transform the village into the style you're building it and expand it around the lake. And continue even more throughout the plains area here. Where the cherry grove dips down here is perfect for a gate or entrance area into the city too. I can really envision a thriving village or city surrounded by the cherry grove here. The village here is already a pretty decent size for you to get started with, and it has some farms here, which I mentioned because there are carrots. If you didn't know, now in 1.21.6, carrots can be used to tame, heal, and grow horses, donkeys, and mules. And I ain't saying anything, but to craft a harness, you need leather. Well, there are cows in the plains that you could use. Did you think I was gonna mention killing horses? I'm not evil. Use some wool from the sheep around and some glass, and now you have yourself a harness. Overall, I think this seed has a ton of potential, and I'd love to hear what kind of ideas or plans you might have for it. This mountain seed looks incredible, and it has a bit of a surprise on it. I actually spawned into the world on top of the mountain, and I quickly saw a path right nearby. Of course, that could only mean that there's a village here. The mountainside village looks awesome, but it's actually not my favorite thing about this seed. Up near the top of the mountain, there's an igloo. You could easily miss it because it just blends in with the rest of the snow. And yes, this igloo does come with a basement under it. Continuing how great this seed is, the village actually has 2 blacksmiths, so if you want a bit of loot, you can check those out. I also cannot overstate how great the mountain looks on its own. I mean, this is definitely just a really awesome Minecraft seed. In addition to those crazy Minecraft seeds I share, like a tall mansion or structures colliding, I also like to share seeds that are just great survival seeds. For somebody looking for a cherry grove spawn, this is one of those. Outside of the cherry grove spawn, we have plenty of building space and other trees and stuff if you want that too. But my favorite part of this seed is this lake over here. I just think it looks really cool, especially with the cherry grove elevated around it. And the cherry grove extends a bit past the lake, and there's even a bit more over there. So I guess if you're looking for a cherry grove seed, this is one I would recommend. There's something interesting going on here with this Minecraft seed. The spawn is down here below some mountains. Going to the east towards the water will bring you to these cliffs, and well, this is here too. The outpost generates with a bunch of cages. One of them has an iron golem, and one of them has alleys. And this guy got stuck too. Of course, we also have this happening here. It's just always cool when two different structures generate connected like this. I just want to mention that across the water, there's a village and a ruined portal too. So yeah, just a pretty cool thing to spawn into the world near. Jungles are kind of an underrated biome in Minecraft. At least I mean that in terms of how great they look. They really can just make for some truly beautiful looking locations. Of course, this seed is a pretty great example of what I mean. The caldera type area formed by the stony peaks is pretty awesome, and the jungle in the middle just looks so great. We even get a jungle temple in here too, so you can collect the loot in the 2 chests if you want. I just think this looks great, and maybe living in a jungle could be a different type of experience than usual for your next world. A Minecraft seed like this one could be a fantastic option for a spawn base or building area. The forest and meadow at the end create a great natural valley area with the frozen peaks bordering around. The other end reaches an ocean, the cliffs here look awesome, and I really like how this water cave looks, especially with it opening up to the surface near the valley. There's just so much potential with a seed like this. Let me know what you think would be a great build here. The spawn area in this seed looks really interesting. I mean, the pillager outpost right at spawn would make survival pretty rough, but it doesn't take away from how cool the area looks. So whether you tough it out in survival or just hop into creative, the plains here makes a fantastic building spot with the elevated forest all around. So yeah, that bowl-shaped spawn just looks great. I really like finding these continent island seeds. And yeah, I know realistically they're just really big islands, not really continent size in the real world. But other seed finders call them continents too, and it's Minecraft, so I'll just keep calling them continent islands. The spawn on this one is actually in a mesa biome, which is pretty cool. There's some biome diversity too, with things like the jungle, savanna, forest, plains, and pale garden around the island as well. If you're looking for structures, you'll be able to find 5 villages, plus underground there's an ancient city and a stronghold. So yeah, pretty great continent island seed. Believe it or not, there's actually a woodland mansion hidden somewhere in that crazy mess of windswept terrain. You can see it peeking through down underneath that natural arch. I found this while searching for tall woodland mansions, since pairing them with windswept terrain often makes them sky high, but apparently it can also create hidden mansions too. I mean, honestly, if you didn't spawn into the world near it, you may never know it's here. It looks so cool tucked into the terrain like this, and it even creates a dark cave area up here where tons of mobs spawn. Inside the mansion I found some alleys on the first floor, and on the second floor I found lots of different pieces of terrain generating inside. On the top floor I found a hidden attic room with 2 chests of loot in the ceiling. So yeah man, this just looks really cool. Just really awesome knowing there's a mansion hidden somewhere in there. I spawned into this Minecraft world on top of a woodland mansion. It generates as a part of this small pale garden, and it's also near a jungle and a meadow. There's some plains down there if you prefer building there too. The mansion is meadow side, so it's pretty tall, and that's where this one gets kinda interesting. There's actually a jungle temple inside of the cobblestone foundation of this mansion. You could dig into here and get the loot behind the lever wall and the loot in the back of the temple if you want. Definitely one of the more interesting places I've ever seen a jungle temple. The mansion entrance is tucked into the side of the pale garden here. I found 2 winding stairway rooms right next to each other on the first floor, so 2 chances at loot from those. The top floor has just 1 room. So yeah, just thought that was a pretty interesting seed there. This is the first time I've seen a witch hut generate like this in Minecraft. The spawn of this world is in a plains biome, which looks pretty cool with the plains surrounded by the swamp. Over in this cave nearby is where you'll find the hut. Just looks awesome, surrounded by the dripstone and the waterfalls. And the witch may just be stuck inside forever. Definitely one of the most unique huts I've ever seen. This comment asked if I could find some height limit mountains. This one has a spawn in a valley surrounded by lots of mountains. That includes this big mountain range that reaches up to the generation height limit. For reference, I have my cloud set at Y level 257 and the generation height limit is Y level 256. The only time a regular Minecraft world will generate above that is if a structure or tree or something manages to go above it. If you look at the map in this one, you can see that the mountain range itself is really expansive too. I always like these because it's easy to find these surface cave areas like this dripstone one. So hopefully that works out for you, and I'll be sure to remember to look for more height limit mountains in the future. This huge island is split between snowy and temperate biomes, and actually the spawn is right near where those two biome types meet up. It's pretty cool to see the clear split between the biome types like this. The island stretches across over 3,000 blocks, and you'll be able to find some villages and igloos, with my favorite two villages being this one on the edge of the biome types, and this one that stretches into the frozen ocean. So yeah man, I just think it looks cool to see that clear biome split, just an interesting looking island seed. I can't get enough of these lake village seeds, they're just so cool looking. This village is even fully on the lake too, just a floating village there. And there's a floating ruined portal right over here, so that's pretty awesome. Two floating structures on one lake is just great. I guess if you don't like the lake, you could just open this up to the ocean too, and have this be like a little cove area. But yeah, these lake villages have just become a staple of my videos now. This Minecraft island looks absolutely insane. I mean, this just looks incredible. It's a stony peaks and jungle island that's about 270 blocks away from the mainland. Of course, this side is my favorite part of the island. The lush caves are multi-layered, and in this top layer, you can see it's quite open to the outside. And right here has this little opening to look out towards the mainland. This side over here with that big and messy lush cave opening looks really cool too, and I like this more solid cliffside here too. This is easily one of my favorite cliff island seeds I have ever found. Some villagers decided to live out here in a mini desert surrounded by a mangrove swamp. They actually seem to be thriving out here too. I mean, there's clearly quite a few of them with all the buildings here. They've got lots of these little farms all set up. Maybe they're using this cave here for some mining too. One of them built out here in the mangroves, and the building looks fine, but the farm over here is struggling clearly. By all accounts though, they seem to be doing really well out here. This pale garden circle is right next to the spawn of this Minecraft seed. I've shown a lot of cherry grove circles before, and this is kind of the opposite of that. The dull gray color is the opposite feel of that cheerful pink color of the cherry grove. In the middle, we have a dark forest and a mansion. There's also a lush cave opening here too, which looks pretty cool. And on top of one of the elevated pale garden cliffs, there's a ruined portal, and down underneath the portal, there's another lush cave opening. Inside of the woodland mansion, I found some pieces of lush cave leading into this room here. On the second floor, there is even more leading into an arena room. And up on the top floor, there are 13 rooms, including an arena room, a hidden attic room with 2 chests of loot in the ceiling, and then another one here, again with the loot in the ceiling. And finally, another hidden room with 1 chest of loot. I think I'll start looking for more seeds like this. I really like this one. I really like this mountain seed here. I spawned into the world here in this dripstone crater on the side of the mountain, and I just think the mountain all around looks great. You could build here in the meadow biome with the mountain as a backdrop, or maybe here in the forest. There's a cherry grove here too, which is nice. Plus, there's some other mountains around the area too. Really, there's just so much potential with this one. I found this seed that I'd consider to be almost a spawn ocean village. If it wasn't for this little bit of beach and plains, the village would be nearly all in the ocean. But those biomes do cause some pretty cool looking terrain, especially this jutting cliff thing here. As for the village itself, it has a church and an armorer's house. I just think seeds like this always look cool, like with the paths and the water and such, just a cool place to spawn into a world. This nice big continent-like island seed has so much to check out, yet there's only 3 actual above ground structures across it, with a village, igloo, and ruined portal. Usually when I find these big islands, they're covered with lots of villages and stuff, but this one just has lots of biomes for exploring and space for building. You don't have to destroy any already existing structures, just do some deforestation and build your Walmarts, parking lots, and McDonald's wherever you want in peace. Just free real estate across a big island for whatever you'd like. I was wondering if I could find a seed with both a jungle and desert temple at spawn, so that's exactly what I did. Now these days classic temples aren't all that exciting for most people, but I still think it's pretty cool seeing them both right next to each other. And if you're looking for a seed with loot at spawn, the 4 chests in the desert temple and the 2 chests in the jungle temple provide you with some of that. But yeah, I'm happy I went out and found this. I think the 2 old Minecraft temples right next to each other is a pretty awesome look. Desert lake villages have been some of my favorite types of seeds to find lately. I just think they look really cool. Not sure what it really is about them, probably just how well the sandstone color pops against the water or something. I do like finding ones that have the mesa nearby too. So yeah, I guess I'll just ask, does anyone else like these too? Sometimes I find a Minecraft seed that I just think looks really cool, and this is one of those. We get a small plains and savanna fully surrounded by the orange of a badlands biome. We get a village here, which is nice to have of course, but I really like how this mesa mineshaft goes into the plains biome. It just looks really unique, and there's even a minecart chest in the plains too. Yeah, just thought this one was pretty cool. I really like these oceanside village seeds. Makes it look like a little port town. The upside down shipwreck here plays into that feeling a bit more too. Maybe they're working on this one to get back into condition to sail again at some point. This village also has these 2 blacksmith buildings, which is not only just great for the loot inside of them, but also just looks really cool out here. I think you could create a really cool place with a great story here. Since a lot of people like the small cherry grove circle seed I shared recently, here's another one. The middle area on this one is even smaller, which is great if you're playing with a lower render distance, and it just feels like a really awesome place for a starter base down here. I mean, everywhere you look around, you just see the elevated cherry grove around. And from above, it's got that perfect circle shape, like a perfect donut shape. I don't think I've ever found a more picture-perfect looking jungle temple island than this one. I mean, just a tiny island nearly fully surrounded by a beach with a bamboo jungle in the temple. It doesn't get much more picture-perfect than that. Almost exactly what I think of when I do searches for these. The fact that it's really isolated out here in the ocean is the icing on the cake. It really doesn't get much better than this. Gotta say, this being the first thing I see when I load into this world is pretty crazy. It's like this world couldn't decide whether it wanted a desert or jungle temple, so it just put both there. Could be lots of loot in there if that's something you want. This Minecraft seed just looks incredible. The spawn is right near an ocean here with a shipwreck right over there, but the village and mansion near those jagged peaks mountains just looks fantastic. The village is just a meadow style village. It has this mini sinkhole thing here with this floating piece of land in some of the village down here. And the mansion is in a pale garden. On the first floor, I found this room with loot at the end. On the second floor, I found 3 arena rooms, all with loot. And on the top floor, I found this bedroom with loot on the top loft. I mean, yeah, this is just a really nice one. I always like when shipwrecks generate like this, just like split between 2 different types of ships. This one here is mostly this jungle wood and dark wood, but this little section is made up of oak and spruce wood, and the buried section is made up of spruce and dark oak. This also happens to be one of my favorite shipwreck village seeds. We get just a small village, but that's why I really like it. With the blacksmith and shipwreck, it makes for a great starter seed with some help, but not completely overpowered. Plus, the plains here is perfect for building a starter base, and you get lots of building materials with the forest, jungle, and savanna biomes nearby. You can always work towards getting over to the windswept savanna in the distance too. It's just a great Minecraft seed, especially with the shipwreck here. Just another continent island seed here, and this is one of my favorites yet. The main reason for that is the biome and structure diversity across it. The spawn is in a plains biome, but across the island you'll be able to find different biomes like the swamp, mesa, jungle, cherry grove, and more. Having the mushroom islands nearby is nice too. And then for structures, there's so much to find, like different villages, a temple, outpost, huts, and even ancient cities in a stronghold underground. So yeah, there's really just so much to see on this island. I found this seed with a stronghold and ancient city connected to each other, and it has a working glitched end portal. You spawn into this world here in a plains biome, and just nearby you can find a village. If you travel a decent distance southeast, you can find this forest and jungle hill. And underground, there's a trial chamber, which is right next to a mine shaft. And underneath that is where you'll find the ancient city and stronghold. That working end portal is just so convenient, and having the 2 structures connected like this just looks awesome. A dried ghast has a 1/3 chance of spawning next to another fossil in a soul sand valley. But if you're struggling to find one, you can also craft one. To do this, you need 8 ghast tears and a block of soul sand. In this seed, we spawn on a village and ruined portal island. This one is a savanna village, of course. A lot of people don't know which buildings are which for a savanna village, and this one has quite a few different types, so let me just show you quickly. We get a cartographer, a tannery, a temple, a library, an armorer, and a blacksmith so you can get your loot here. The rest of the buildings are all just different sized houses. The ruined portal is right across from the blacksmith building. You can grab the loot in the chest, and with some breaking and placing of a couple blocks, you can easily use this portal too. You will find the basalt delta when you go through the portal, and while there's the easy way of finding the dried gas in a soul sand valley close by, there's also a nether fortress here you can explore while you slowly collect gas tiers during your time in the nether. Or you can barter with the piglins for a really small, like 2% chance at getting one too. Once you get your dried gas hydrated, you can accelerate the growth of the gasling by feeding it snowballs. Off the northeast of the spawn island, you can see the mainland over there. The combination of the windswept terrain and the bamboo jungle looks really cool. Is there anything you think you could build here? I'm sure somebody could be pretty creative with terrain like this. A seed with a spawn island like this one could really give you a great start in a new world. This desert seed looks pretty cool. There's lots of hilly terrain, and we get this long lake here, and the village stretches all the way across the river. The path being a bridge across the lake looks really cool with the buildings all around. The seed gets even better with the desert temple here. As always, the temple and desert villages just look like they're meant to be near each other, and you could easily connect the two with a path or something. I just really like how this all looks. I've really enjoyed finding desert seeds lately. Personally, my favorite type of double village is this type that I call a cold versus warm type seed. We get the meadow village to the east and the snowy village to the west, and the clear split between the cold biomes and neutral biomes just looks really cool. This village house generates in a big dripstone cluster pillar. The spawn of this seed is in this village, which is in this big plains biome with another village close by. There's this hole here where we can see a building, but if we go down into the dripstone cave, we can see two buildings down here, including this one with the dripstone pillar through it. It looks pretty cool. This continent island seed is pretty awesome. It stretches over 2,800 blocks from north to south and about 3,000 blocks from east to west. And I really like this one for the selection of different biomes. Like we get a couple of patches of cherry grove and some pale gardens too, and I've had some people mention wanting a continent that has some jungle biome on it, so we get that here too. Of course, there's plenty of structures to check out too, like some villages and a few jungle temples. If you're going to use this seed, I have to ask, what are you going to build around the island? The cherry grove circle at spawn in this seed is just fantastic. I mean, I find and show a lot of these, but I still just love how they look, so I'll keep showing them. There's just so much that I like about this one. Obviously, spawning in a cherry grove is nice, but the middle area is just great for building with the elevated terrain all around, and that lake could be added into a build. And all of that is why I said I think this seed is fantastic. This is one of the more interesting Minecraft seeds I've found in a while. You spawn here in a desert next to an ocean, and you can see some windswept terrain nearby. If you go north, just past some desert hills, you can stop here at a desert temple and then end up at the lake. This village just being one path is really cool, and villages always just look awesome floating too. I really like seeing the badlands behind the lake too. This just looks really awesome all around. I recently received this comment that said they were looking for a seed with multiple villages in a snowy or desert biome. So let's go ahead and look at two villages in the desert biome. Nothing too out of the ordinary here really. We get a big desert biome and the first village just looks like a normal village. Though there are some azalea trees here, which means we get some lush caves underground. The other village generates on its own little island surrounded by a river, which looks pretty cool. Since we're out here in the desert, you can be on the lookout for the new camel husk, which rarely spawns at night or during thunderstorms, and has a jockey with the parched and husk riding it, wielding an iron-tipped spear. After you deal with the hostile mobs, you can ride the camel husk just like any normal camel. So I hope something like this is what you had in mind when wanting a multi-village desert seed. If you are looking to play some old nostalgic survival island in modern Minecraft, this seed may be perfect for that. We get a small plains island with just one tree to get started. There's also plenty of grass across the island to grow some wheat, and we get some sand and some sugarcane too. For a bit of a modern touch, there's a firefly bush here. There's not much more you need to get going to play survival island. But after you do get settled on the island a bit, you could challenge yourself and head out to the ocean monument that's pretty close by. Just a great opportunity here for a nostalgic playthrough. I get a decent amount of requests for mountain island seeds, and I found this one here. It's clearly a really big island, and you can see that on the map here. It's a jungle island with lots of bamboo, and this little section of stony peaks is near spawn, with these bigger stony peaks a bit further away. There's some really cool lush cave cliffs behind the tall stony peaks. There's also a jungle temple close to spawn if you want a bit of loot from the 2 chests. This whole island gives like a pirate island type vibe. I recently shared what I called an ocean monument lake after somebody requested me to find it. But since then, I've refined my search conditions a bit and found one that I think is even better. Of course, the lake is technically just a really small ocean biome, but it's fully surrounded by different biomes like the taiga and the plains. Right in the middle of the lake is the monument, and I think it looks really cool with the rivers flowing into the lake as well. It's just a unique place to spawn near in a world, and I think it's pretty cool. I have another option for a pale garden seed here. We have a big pale garden valley below some frozen peaks. The biome just generates as a valley until it expands out wider when the mountains end. It all just looks really great together. And I think it's one of my favorite pale garden seeds I've found so far, from an aesthetic standpoint at least. If you look closely, you may be able to see a witch hut among that tall windswept terrain. The spawn of the seed is actually right next to the hut up here. I mean, spawning in near a witch hut isn't the greatest, but I actually really like the idea of spawning into the world all the way up here. It's really flat, and you can make a really creative base up here. I can imagine a really quaint little house up here as a first build. It could really make for a unique place to start off a new world, and looking at it from a distance really shows just how crazy that terrain really is. I found this Cherry Grove Mountain Circle seed here. Mountain rings are some of my favorite Minecraft terrain to find. The middle area is just a perfect spot for a nice build. Add in a cherry grove in the middle and it just looks awesome. Nothing new for me to find or share, but still always happy to do so. Right at spawn, this seed gives you a mountain ring with a valley of a few different biomes. You'll find the Pale Garden, a dark forest, and of course everyone's favorite, the incredible birch forest. What else could you really need when you have a birch forest? But yeah, these always just look great, just a really nice place for a spawn base, and the different biomes are fantastic for getting a variety of different blocks. I will just always like the look of these. I found this seed that has 2 mountain ring calderas around spawn, and actually it has all 3 mountain types too, with the frozen peaks, stony peaks, and jagged peaks. The frozen peaks are what form the mountain range directly at spawn, and down in the valley we get the greatest biome there is with the birch forest. And then the other one is formed by stony peaks, and this one has a valley made up of a forest biome. So if you like mountains, well, there you go. I found a Minecraft seed with 4 woodland mansions surrounding spawn. I've always thought it was pretty cool when I saw people show seeds like this, so I set out to find one on my own. You can see in the map that they all fit in that 525 block radius in that thin red circle. I'm assuming I can probably find a seed like this with a closer distance, but I'll have to save that for another day. For now, this one will do because they're still really close by. If anyone does know of the closest distance for a cluster of 4 woodland mansions, please let me know. Anyway, here we have the first one to the southeast. It has a hidden obsidian and diamond block room on the top floor. Then we have this one to the southwest. It has a hidden spider spawner room on the top floor. Now we have this one to the northwest. This is my favorite one because the foundation here runs down into a big lush cave. And finally, we have this one to the northeast. It's near this multi-biome hill, and there's some trees and terrain generating on the roof. So yeah, there you have 4 woodland mansions near spawn. A villager decided to build their house here way up towards the sky. And I have to say, the windswept terrain here just looks crazy. It's actually mostly plains biome, but the small windswept hills cause it to look like this. The animals right here are pretty much just going to be trapped in the floating terrain here forever. And to be honest, it's hard to even call this a village because it's really just the well here and the house at the top. So it's more of just a house in the middle of nowhere. But honestly, it's probably a bit peaceful living in a house up here away from everything else. The spawn of this seed is in a big mountain range that reaches up towards the generation height limit. Flying around, all you can see is snow, stone, and ores, along with some patches of dripstone cave too. For perspective on how high up this is, I have my cloud set just above the generation height limit, and you can see that the terrain flattens out right at the top. There's lots of ideas for this, but I'd like to see what somebody could build down in the plains biome with those tall mountains as a background. The spawn in this seed has a small patch of snow completely surrounded by plains. Looks pretty interesting, definitely feels out of place. There's actually an igloo generating in the small snowy plains biome too. It doesn't have a basement, but at least it makes for a decent place to live for a while. So yeah, overall, it's just a unique looking spawn. First time I've found one like this personally. This cherry grove circle is about as perfect as it gets. You spawn right into the world in the cherry grove, the lake is pretty much right in the middle, down here is just a great place to build like usual, and if you don't want to build in the middle, outside of the cherry grove is surrounded by different plains and forest type biomes. Also on the outside of the cherry grove to the northeastern side, we get a grove side village, and on the southeastern side, we get a pillager outpost. Underneath this outpost area, you can find a trial chamber. Honestly, this is one of my favorite cherry grove circle seeds I've ever found. If you like this seed, stay tuned because I have another cherry grove circle later in this video too. The spawn of this seed is really cool. We get the village here and it's in a big plains biome. The village has a tannery, library, and blacksmith. And there's another village in the distance over there. But my favorite part is this big dripstone cave next to the village with a mine shaft. It looks really cool hanging right below the village, and this part just floating like this is pretty sick too. Just a really unique looking area. I found some villagers who decided to live up here on top of some mountains. The spawn in this world is in these frozen peaks near some stony peaks, and we are really high up near the generation height limit. The village is right near spawn in a really tiny plains biome that managed to generate all the way up here, and it looks pretty cool with all the snow and ice and just the mountains around. Actually, mountaintop villages like this are some of the most requested types of seeds I get in comments for whatever reason. And yeah, I mean, this is definitely a really unique looking village, so I can see why people would want to see something like this. I found a seed that makes getting a happy ghast really easy. You spawn in this savanna village that's near a mangrove swamp and forest biome. Some of the village even goes into those biomes. There's also this ruined portal here that's floating over a ravine. The obsidian, golden armor, and flint and steel give you everything you need to safely repair the portal and go into the nether. You can go east and phase up at this nether fossil and then find the dried ghast over at this fossil here. Just bring it back to the overworld, hydrate it, get materials to craft a harness while you're waiting, and you're good to go. This beautiful spawn valley between frozen peaks and jagged peaks gets interrupted by a woodland mansion about halfway through. But you know, maybe this is a great place to stop at on your way through the valley or a sign to build something of your own in it. There really is so much potential with a natural valley like this. My first thought is having it as a road of travel and having some buildings on the sides of the mountains like shops or something. I'd love to know what types of ideas you have for a place like this. This circular plains and forest area fully surrounded by a desert just looks awesome. I really like how the two biomes are split pretty evenly by a river in the middle. Now living out here will be pretty great. You get the materials with the forest, easy building space with the plains, and even a dripstone cave too, but you'll definitely need to fortify the area with two pillager outposts right outside of it. Plus with the desert all around, you'll have to be on the lookout for the new parched mob. It's just a new variant of skeleton, but it doesn't burn in sunlight and it shoots arrows of weakness, but they do shoot their arrows slower and they take freeze damage. So while it may look like your desert oasis, there's still some little challenges here that you'll need to work through to be safe. A spawn like this is so perfect for building. The elevated terrain behind the plains biome is just such a great backdrop to any sort of build. The fact that most of it is cherry grove is just awesome, and I'd probably convert this forest spot to look more like a cherry grove. And depending on the build, I may make more dripstone cave areas like this. There's really so much potential with an area like this. I've been searching for all biome continents for a bit, and this is probably my favorite one I've found so far. You spawn into the world in a bamboo jungle, and there's a nice clearing for a base with the sparse jungle nearby. There's also a pretty cool mountain and pale garden close to spawn too. Of course, having every biome is awesome on its own, but there are also some really cool points of interest around too. Like this dripstone crater is just awesome, especially with the mine shaft here. And if you look at the map, there are tons of structures scattered across the continent too, with my favorite being this desert temple village combination here. And these two villages are right nearby, which is great too. So yeah, definitely give this all biome continent a try, and I'll keep searching for even more like it. This little cove area with two villages on it looks pretty cool. You spawn into the world in a meadow looking right over the water. We get this village here, it has a ravine running through it with a building floating over it, and we get this second village here, some of it goes up the side of a mini mountain. You could easily extend the paths to connect across the water. I could definitely see some unique things being built around here. When I showed a flower forest mountain circle seed recently, I got this comment saying they wish there was also a village in the middle, so I figured that would be a great seed to find. This one has the jagged peaks all around an area with about half flower forest and half plains. We also get the village here, of course. I really like how we get this little underground area with a couple buildings. So there you go, a mountain circle seed with a flower forest and village. This comment said a village with a singular straight path would be cool. So that's what I found here. Just a plains village that's in a straight line. Has a blacksmith building, which is nice for a chance at some starter loot, and down here, there's actually a building hiding. Just thought that was kinda cool. A village doesn't really get much more simple than just a straight line, but I do think the comment was correct in saying that it does look cool. This is one of the most hilarious witch huts I've ever found. It looks like it's holding up the weight of the terrain up here, so hopefully those tall pillars are strong enough and don't collapse. It reaches up to Y level 192 and starts down at level 108, so that makes it 84 blocks tall in total. Yeah man, these always just look so funny. I just love doing seed searches for them. I found this seed with 2 villages at spawn, and neither of them are actually my favorite structure at spawn. That's because the actual spawn point is in this savannah village, and it has a crater here which you can see has a mine shaft. I love the look of hanging mine shafts, and it just looks so cool seeing the village right next to it, especially the well here underneath it. The other village nearby is a plains village, and it's got a ton of different buildings to explore. So yeah, just thought that was pretty cool. The spawn area of this seed just looks incredible. We get some mountains above a dark forest, and they're split between jagged peaks and stony peaks. We also get this little water spot right next to that with some cliffs around it, and it leads right up to a tall woodland mansion. The entrance of the mansion is up near the mountains, and inside I found a couple different rooms with loot on the first floor, an arena room on the second floor with some more loot, and another arena room on the third floor with even more loot. There's a little lush cave down here near the bottom of the mansion too, and it actually leads right down to a mine shaft. Truly just a really great looking spawn area all around. I've had this guy asking me to find a mountain circle with a plains biome and lake inside. Well, I haven't had a ton of success, but I do have this seed here. It's not perfect by any means, but I still think it's pretty decent. The mountains taper off here, and the plains is pretty steep going down to the lake, but the whole combinations of mountains, plains, and lakes just makes this a bit difficult to find. I'll keep looking for something better, but for now, hopefully this one will do for that 2-week Minecraft phase. This woodland mansion is really hidden at a cliffside lake. Like here at spawn, you wouldn't even know that there's a mansion nearby. You'd have to look directly down the cliff or look across the lake to see it. I'm not quite sure why they would build their mansion here, but it just ends up looking like an evil villain's lair or something. For those that may want to know, this lake is actually a mini ocean biome, and inside the mansion I found some pieces of lush cave, along with some alleys, and this hidden attic room with 2 chests in the ceiling. Yeah man, just such an awesome Minecraft seed. Definitely a unique place for a woodland mansion to generate. I found this really cool mansion and village island seed. I've found a few in the past, but I think this is my favorite one so far. Just the fact that this island is so flat with the water mixed in, and then it being so isolated is really awesome. I also really like how the village goes right up against the mansion, and you can find little bits and pieces of the village actually inside of the mansion too. I also found 2 arena rooms too, which is my personal favorite types of rooms you can find in the woodland mansion. Altogether, this is definitely a really unique place to spawn into a world. I just think this little mesa mountain here looks really cool, and it's actually the spawn of this seed, so you don't even have to travel to see it or anything. There's this big cave opening on the side of it, and it has a mine shaft in it too. It just looks awesome. There's another piece of mine shaft in a cave down here, and a surface mine shaft right here too. If you're looking for more to check out in this seed, there are some height limit Badlands peaks in the same spawn biome. Yeah man, I just really like how this one looks. This is the tallest Minecraft woodland mansion I have ever personally discovered. It's all the way up at Y level 274. I actually spawned on top of the roof, and you can probably imagine my reaction when I flew off and saw this. Now for me, I usually set my clouds at Y256. If you didn't know, that's the generation height limit, with only things like trees and clearly structures like this one able to sometimes go above that. The build height limit is 320 for those wondering, so I made sure to change my cloud height to be a bit taller. If you're wondering how a mansion can get this tall, well, a windswept biome with high erosion can cause terrain like this. And when the mansion generates in the correct location next to that windswept biome, it causes it to be this tall. The terrain in the front of the mansion really does look crazy. Now, this is not the tallest woodland mansion ever found. It's just my tallest woodland mansion. For reference, I spoke to Damn Duck, who told me the current tallest mansion they have found is this one at Y281. They also found this one with a witch hut on top that is at Y level 279. But I'm pretty happy having found this one at 274. And now, so you know, the lowest block of the mansion I could find is at Y51, and that means in total this mansion is 223 blocks tall. If you manage to make it inside this mansion, you can expect to find a winding stairway room on the first floor with some loot at the end, an arena room on the second floor with some loot on the loft, and 8 rooms on the top floor, including this hidden room with 2 chests for loot in the ceiling. I was truly just thrilled to find this mansion seed. Some pillagers in this seed set up their base right on top of a lake. You spawn into the world right nearby and can look right over the lake and see the tower and tents out there. In total, there are 4 tents out here, plus there are 3 cages, including 2 with iron golems. Definitely a unique place for an outpost to be. It looks pretty cool. I get asked to find seeds with lots of biome diversity around spawn, so what better way to do that than just having every biome within 3,000 blocks of spawn. You spawn into the world here in a plains biome, which is great for a base area. You could utilize those islands as a part of a build, and even those pieces of elevated terrain too. Having every biome around is great for the fact you don't have to go too far to collect any materials you may need. But it does come with making sacrifices to some of those biome sizes. Like in this one, the Mushroom Island is really small, and the Mangrove Swamp and Pale Garden are pretty small too. Regardless, I think that's worth it though for the easy access to all the materials. And yeah, this really is just a great seed for a new survival world. Lately, I've been finding these Minecraft seeds that just have a plains biome surrounded by a forest, and I think they're a really great place to start a survival world. You can see it clearly in-game, but the map also gives a great view of what I'm talking about too. You just already have a perfect area cleared out for your base area or whatever. It's really just so convenient. I found this seed with a double cherry grove circle at spawn. They meet up here in the middle and form like an 8 or infinity type shape or something. The circle to the south is smaller, and it just has a nice flat plains biome in the middle valley. And the northern one is quite a bit bigger. The valley for this one also has a plains biome, but it also has a lake and some dripstone openings around the cherry grove too. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite cherry grove seeds I've found in quite some time. This one just looks amazing. You've got a cliffside village, a massive lush cave, and some mountains around. But the highlight for me has to be the floating shipwreck. It's just not every day you see one floating above a village like this. The village itself has some buildings at the top of the cliffs here, and then the paths down in the water. And that lush cave is huge with multiple sections that would make an awesome base. And there's even a convenient opening to a zombie spawner and quick access to an ancient city. Yeah, this is all just great. There's a lot going on at the spawn of this seed, and it all looks really awesome. The windswept terrain and village combination always looks great, but adding in a witch hut like this just takes it to another level. Just looks awesome. I think it's pretty funny that these villagers are just kind of stuck here in this little cliffside cave area, and for some reason I think the solo swamp tree up here looks pretty cool too. So yeah, this is just a really awesome looking spawn. If you're looking for a seed with a great place for some building at spawn, this one is definitely a great option. We get a nice big plains biome, which is always ideal if you're looking for a simple, easy place to build, and the mountains all around just give some great natural scenery. The forest here is nice for some quick materials too. Whether you want to terraform or not, you already have a nice place for a build. Cliff Island seeds always look incredible. Shout out to Doogie for helping me find this one. It's made up of wooded badlands, desert, and bamboo jungle, so depending on which side you're on, you'll see the colors of the mesa, the sand of the desert, or the greenery of the jungle, and they all look awesome together. Cliff Islands really never disappoint. The spawn of this seed looks so simple, yet it has so much potential. The whole concept of a village naturally generating with water around it is just awesome in itself, but I really think you could expand on that idea too. Like make bridges going out in each direction across the water, and reconstructing the village as a main point in your spawn base. Just so many different possibilities. This is easily one of my favorite continent island seeds I've found yet. From north to south it reaches about 2,600 blocks, and from east to west it's over 1,500 blocks. So there's definitely a decent amount of space to build your own city or something here. And for me, the biomes are just perfect for that too, with it mostly being plains, forest, and taiga. And I personally really like this spot that almost forms a little caldera here. I think the biggest surprise for this whole thing for me though, is that we only get 2 actual above ground structures across the entire continent, with this village at the very north of the island and the pillager outposts nearby. So you've really just got pretty much this entire island to work with. This is a really great looking Minecraft mountain circle seed. The spawn of the world is right on the edge of the tall jagged peaks mountains that form the ring. We get a couple of little forests that generate on the hills going up to the mountains, and we get a nice plains for some building. But of course, my favorite part of this area is the lake here. The waterfalls flowing into it look awesome, and I think this could provide a nice natural place to be included in a build. So with that, I'll ask, what would you build here? The villagers in this seed decided to build in this circular plains oasis. And honestly, this is one of my personal favorite village seeds I've found in a while. The plains just look so cool with the desert and mesa surrounding it. I think I'd like to expand the village across the entire plains biome, and the last time I found one of these oasis type things, a lot of people said they'd build a glass dome or wall around the oasis. So I'll go ahead and ask you, what would you build here in this one? Cliff islands are always cool, but they're even better when they have a big cave opening on the side like this one does. Plus, with this one being a jungle biome, we get some trees and vines and other jungle remnants on the side of the cliffs, which looks awesome too. Up on top of the island, there's a jungle temple where you can grab some loot from the 2 chests inside. I mean, really, this is just an incredible place to spawn. I just know somebody that's creative has a great build idea for this. I've had some people in my comments asking for another mangrove swamp island, so I have this one here. It actually looks pretty awesome with a couple other biomes here with a forest and jungle. Obviously, the forest biome would be the easiest place to build a base, and the jungle would be pretty easy too, but I think it'd be cool to challenge yourself a bit and build in the mangroves. So I'll ask, what would you build there? I've always loved the look of floating villages like this one. In this world, you spawn in a plains biome and there's a cherry grove nearby. The village is just a short walk and swim to the north. Like I said, I just really like how it looks. There's something so cool about seeing a village floating on the water. Plus, this one has a blacksmith, so that's an added plus if you want a bit of loot. But yeah, really just wanted to show it because I think it looks cool. There's not much I like more in Minecraft than a great looking cliff island seed. But I guess adding in a second smaller cliff island makes me like this one more than usual, especially since it's nearly hollow with the lush cave. The main spawn island looks awesome too. I always love the look of the colors of the badlands on cliff sides. And this is kind of the first time I'm realizing that I really like how desert cliffs look too. Of course, adding the bits of lush cave around helps make this one look even better. Man, I just really like this seed. This Minecraft seed has 2 cherry grove circles that spawn. The smaller one is the closest to spawn, has this cave thing in the middle and a ruined portal too. And then we get this bigger one here. This one has a pretty big lake down in the middle. There's not much else to say aside from that this is just a really awesome seed here, but I do want to ask, what are you going to build in the cherry grove areas? The woodland mansion in this seed generates in a pretty awesome spot. It's right between 2 different mountains with the jagged peaks and frozen peaks. You spawn up in the jagged peaks where there's even a small pale garden biome, and you're able to quickly look down to the woodland mansion in the valley, with the entrance tucked into the terrain here. The nearby forest and birch forest may take a bit of time to clear out, but the mountains all around create a beautiful backdrop for building. Honestly, there's really just so much to like about this one. This seed just has so much potential. That raised cherry grove makes for a perfect natural backdrop for any build. And the plains biome, with some terraforming in some obvious spots, is just great for building too. The village here already gives a bit of perspective on how some smaller sized buildings would look. So whether you want to build a town of small buildings like the village, or you want to build something big or extravagant, this seed has some great terrain right at spawn to work with. Small classic one-tree survival island seeds are not something I've had the luck of finding since Minecraft changed the spawn algorithm, so I compromised with something like this instead. We do get that mini island, but it's a part of a larger collection of islands. You can easily fix that for yourself before even starting by removing the rest, or you can just use it like it is. Either way, I think it's a decent compromise for a classic survival island in modern Minecraft. This seed is a village in a lush cave, and from above ground you probably wouldn't even notice. The village only consists of a couple buildings and a well, and unless you look down into the hole on the surface, you'd probably not notice it. Though I did actually spawn in the lush cave, so that made it pretty hard to miss. That surface area has quite a few biomes around, with the mesa really standing out, and there's even a jungle temple there too, so if you want, you can collect some loot in the 2 chests inside. So it may be easy to miss from up here, but the underground lush cave village is definitely something you don't want to miss out on seeing. This seed has never-ending, infinitely repeating mine shafts right under spawn, and actually above ground here at spawn is a pretty great place too. You're in this flat coastal savanna biome. It really could be a fantastic place for a spawn base. Plus, the village nearby could be extremely useful too. Now, like I said, underneath spawn, you can find these mine shafts. And actually, there's the normal mineshaft spider spawner here, but it also leads to another spawner in a dungeon structure too. As is always the case with these, this happens to be a glitch in the world with cave generation repeating infinitely, and the mineshafts will continue all the way to the world border. Plus, you'll see on the map lots of these lines of mineshafts throughout the world. These are just always some of my favorite Minecraft seeds to find. This seed is great because it has every biome within just a couple thousand blocks of spawn. You don't have to go on any really long adventures to gather the resources needed. Looking at the map, you can see all that biome diversity there. Of course, some of the biomes are going to be pretty small, like this mushroom island or this pale garden, and the different ocean biomes aren't included, but if you're just after a world where every biome is within reach, this one's a great option. All of those new features for the Mounts of Mayhem update are nice and all, but so are just some old rare Minecraft biomes too, like a mushroom island. And man, the one near spawn in this seed is just huge. You spawn into this seed in a snowy plains biome, and while you're going to obviously need to collect wood, you don't need to turn it into a boat, because you can just run along the ice most of the way to the mushroom island. Actually, being out here on the island really puts into perspective how big of a biome this is too, because all you can see is the mushrooms all around. And my favorite part of this island is this spot here. There's an ocean monument here in this little section of water, and it's just really cool having the mushroom island fully surround a monument. So with all that said, you don't need all the new features from the new update to see something in Minecraft that's still really cool. I really like the spawn area in this seed here. I think it just looks absolutely beautiful. The tall, jagged peaks just look awesome as a background to this area. Adding in a village here is just great, especially with it stretching into the pale garden. I also like all the different tree types around here, and this ravine is pretty cool too. Just a really nice Minecraft seed all around. No matter how much time passes or how many Minecraft updates are released, cherry groves are still the highest requested biome I get for seeds. And there's no cherry grove seeds I like finding more than cherry grove circles. I also simultaneously dislike finding these because people always think it's a seed I didn't find because they've seen a cherry grove circle before. These are so popular to find and they all look very similar, but seeds can look the same and still be a different seed that's never been found before. Lots of other creators often take seeds they didn't find and don't give credit to those who actually found them, so it's just become so broadly thought that's what all creators do. I always give credit if somebody has posted a seed before because seed finding isn't easy. It takes time and effort, and I always appreciate how great people are at it. Even if they say no credit is needed, I just find it the right thing to do for the time they took finding the seed. But yeah, there's a cherry grove circle seed, a great place for building a base with the plains biome in the middle, and the elevated cherry grove all around. It just looks fantastic. The Pale Garden spawn area in this seed looks absolutely incredible. The elevated terrain surrounding the lake in the middle just looks awesome, and it's kind of cool how the lake is split between those two different shades of water because of the dark forest. My favorite part though personally is this cave here. It's split between a dripstone and lush cave, plus it goes down to the deep dark with a lava pool. It just looks amazing. Definitely a really unique looking area all around. The mountain at spawn in this seed is perfect for a background to a build. I mean, it just kind of has that perfect pointy mountain shape to it. And here in the meadow could be perfect to have it behind a build. The village gives an idea on how that could look. I also just want to mention that the nearby Cherry Grove village looks like a mess, and I really like all the cave openings nearby too. There's just so much potential for some builds with the nice scenery here. Compared to a lot of the seeds I share, this one is pretty simple, but that's exactly what makes it a great spot for a survival world spawn. Looking at the map, you can see how the mangrove completely surrounds that circular plains biome. In-game, you can see the plains biome is really flat, and it just has a couple of oak trees, and then all around is just mangrove. I mean, it's just a great place for a starter base, and honestly a really cool place to begin your adventure. One of the most popular seed requests I've been getting lately is for what people call continent islands, basically a large landmass completely surrounded by ocean, a continent. So I went searching and I found this one that I think is really cool. I think taking a look at the map is the best way to see the island as a whole. I like this one because it has 4 different villages across it, including this plains village that's closest to spawn and has a blacksmith, and this taiga village that's partly floating on water. There's also this really cool woodland mansion island right off the coast too. So yeah, there's a great seed if you're looking for a continent island. So you made it to the end of the video, and I just want to say thanks for all the support this year. It's been incredible. The channel got to 100,000 subscribers, and I had way more support than I could have ever imagined, and I really appreciate it. If you'd like to see more seeds, go ahead and check out one of the videos on screen now, and I'm gonna go start finding more seeds for next year. Thanks for watching. I'm out of here. Happy New Year. See ya.